The story begins with a dragon, who tells our protagonist that 100 years ago, a meteor from another world fell into the demon realm. The dragon further explains that our boy is the one who toyed with the demon realm using that strange power of his. But this, the dragon says, is where our boy's journey ends. The dragon instructs our boy to speak his wish. What desire led him to reach the dragon of the demon realm? Our protagonist's name is Min Saiwoo, a hunter whose specialty is healing. Saiwoo replies that he wants to return to the place he calls home. Upon hearing this, the dragon scoffs, saying that for someone who risked his life to challenge him, Saiwoo's wish is pitifully trivial. The dragon tells our boy that even if it's a wish that can never be granted, Saiwoo still came all this way, knowing that truth. The power to return to Saiwoo's home, the dimensional orb, is sealed within the dragon's heart. Hearing this, our boy smirks. Then Saiwoo tells the dragon, "Do you have any idea how much I had to suffer to find that? It's been a whole century, 100 damn years, in this cursed world." The dragon moves to strike at our boy, declaring that Saiwoo should consider himself lucky, for the dragon will now end his meaningless existence. Our boy starts to smile and calmly states, "Finally, I can put an end to this." A brilliant yellow light erupts through the area as our boy attacks. The dragon groans in pain, confused by the unsettling light. To the dragon's shock, he sees our boy's wounds begin to heal. But this isn't just ordinary healing, it's regeneration. Our boy walks confidently toward the dragon with a smirk. Saiwoo asks whether the dragon is going to hand over the dimensional orb or if he'll have to take it by force. Enraged, the dragon roars. Saiwoo and tells the dragon he has 3 seconds. In a flash, Saiwoo charges forward and defeats the dragon with a single decisive strike. We then see Saiwoo retrieve the dimensional orb. Without hesitation, Saiwoo consumes the dimensional orb. A deep yellow light fills the atmosphere. Our boy, eyes glowing, whispers, "Finally, I'm going home. To my disciples. To my little brother." The scene shifts. Our boy is lying on the damp soil of a rainforest. His eyes wrinkle under the sunlight before he suddenly sits up, sighing in pain. Our boy didn't come alone. He came with a mysterious being that lives inside his head, named Fry. Groaning, our boy mutters Frey's name, calling him a freeloader. Fry groggily responds, asking what he wants. He's busy throwing up from motion sickness. Saiwoo realizes Fry made it through to Earth as well. Our boy tells Fry to stop talking nonsense, or he'll vomit too. Murmuring to himself in confusion, our boy wonders aloud if this place is really Earth. Fry is flabbergasted and tells Saiwoo he can't even recognize his own home. Our boy retorts, "Don't you know Earth's landscapes vary depending on the location?" Saiwoo adds that the flow of mana feels eerily similar to that inside a gate. Shocked, our boy questions if they're really inside one. Then suddenly Saiwoo mana starts to surround his body, which surprises him. Confused, he suddenly yells, "What's wrong with my mana?" Fry, astonished, declares that our boy is a scam and jokes about breaking up with him. Our boy ignores the comment and mutters to himself, "Is this happening again?" Fry, baffled, asks what he means by again. Looking down at his trembling hands, our boy explains that it might be a side effect of dimensional travel. He recalls that when he was first sent from Earth 100 years ago, his status dropped significantly. Saiwoo gets frustrated, estimating that he now only has 15, maybe 20% of his former power. Fry, skeptical, asks if he's joking and tells him to recover quickly, or he'll kick him out. Annoyed, our boy snaps back, "You think it's that easy to kick me out?" His expression darkens. "It took me decades to recover last time." Exhausted and confused, Fry tells our boy that he's canceling their contract. Saiwoo's mana is too unstable, and without it, Fry can't use any of his magnificent skills. Our boy explains that it's not about Fry using his mana. Saiwoo's entire mana pool is unstable. The scene shifts once again, this time to another part of the forest. A brown-haired girl is in trouble. She's lost track of all her teammates. Panic fills her eyes as we see she's being chased by an orc. She trembles, thinking, "Why is there an orc this early in the dungeon?" Terrified, she shouts for help. As she turns to run, her foot catches on a stone and she falls hard to the ground. Looking up at the charging orc, she screams, tears falling down her face. Am I going to die here? Suddenly, our boy appears and defeats the orc with a single strike. He smiles and asks the brown-haired girl, "Is this really Earth?" She stares at him in shock and replies, "Yes." He continues, "Is this Korea?" Again, she nods and says yes. Then he asks, "What year is it?" To which she answers, "It's 2037. She remains stunned, unable to comprehend how he took down an orc in one hit. But our boy is unfazed. Compared to what he faced, this is nothing. After all, when Saiwu was teleported to another dimension in 2027, 100 years in the demon realm translated to only 10 years here. Curious, he asks her about the current president. She replies, with surprise in her voice, "It's Choi Dae-soo." Our boy shouts in disbelief, "That musclehead, the guy missing an eye? He's the president." He stands there, still confused, trying to wrap his head around the fact that Choi Dae-soo is now the leader of the country. Was there seriously no one better for the job? He mutters. Changing the topic, our boy comments that the mana flow in this place feels off. He asks her if they're inside a gate. The girl chuckles and replies, "No, this is actually the tutorial tower." She steps closer and begins explaining that the tower appeared a few years ago. It acts as a gateway for hunters. If someone manages to clear it, they awaken abilities and gain new skills. The higher their awakening rank, the better the guilds they can join. Because of this, everyone rushes to clear the tower as quickly as possible. Saiwu furrows his brows, confused. Back in my day, the awakened just fought without all this nonsense. She smiles and steps closer, explaining that it was like that for the first-generation hunters, but things have changed. Our boy asks, "So, we need to clear this tower to get out? How long will that take?" She replies, "Usually about 8 weeks. But if you're skilled, maybe 6. The record holder is Ryu Jaiwan, a second-generation genius hunter. He cleared it in 3 weeks. Just then, as they stand alone in the middle of the forest, the girl suddenly senses something. Her eyes widen in fear as she spots a white tiger walking toward them. She panics, whispering, "It's a troll tiger. We need to run." But our boy remains calm, still processing the idea that 3 weeks is far too long for him. Saiwu sighs, murmuring, "My mana flow is sluggish, my body's not moving like it should." As the tiger leaps toward them, she shouts at him, "Didn't the academy teach you to run if you see a troll tiger?" But our boy remains lost in thought, calmly muttering that he has no choice. He'll just give himself a little extra time. Then, without even looking, Saiwu defeats the troll tiger with a single punch. As the beast crashes to the ground, he turns to her and says, 5 days. That should be enough." The scene shifts to an office, where the guildmaster's assistant informs him that someone has just exited the tutorial tower. Min Sijuan, the guildmaster, replies, "Not bad. They entered 8 weeks ago." But the assistant hesitates before adding, "That's the problem. The person wasn't on the original entry list." Min Sijuan furrows his brows in confusion. "Which batch are they from?" he asks. She responds nervously, "There's no record of him at all. And now he's causing a commotion outside." She hands him a photo, and the moment he sees it, he freezes. His eyes widen in disbelief as he mutters, "Hyung." Meanwhile, outside, our boy sighs, glancing at the girl trailing behind him. He wonders silently, "Is she seriously chasing after me?" The brown-haired girl couldn't believe that Saiwu had cleared the Tower of Tutorials in just 5 days. On the other hand, our boy was genuinely surprised to find that combat had significantly accelerated his recovery. Saiwu noted that he felt like about 25% of his strength had returned. The system then notified them that the tutorial had been completed and was now calculating stats and analyzing skill compatibility. However, the system was unable to measure something. Suddenly, it announced that the gate was opening. Our boy walked toward the gate, and the girl let out a sigh, calling after him, asking if they could go together. Saiwu simply smiled and stepped into the gate. On the other side, outside the tutorial tower, our boy and the brown-haired girl emerged and were immediately stopped by a staff member. Saiwu's name wasn't listed among the registered candidates who had entered the tower. 3 hunters walking nearby noticed the commotion. Their leader glanced over and asked, "Why is there such a fuss?" The man beside him replied, "The gate just opened, but it looks like there's a problem." The leader's eyes landed on the brown-haired girl, recognizing her. I remember seeing the pretty one on the entry list, he muttered. Approaching the staff, the team leader demanded, "What's going on?" The staff member explained, "These two just came out of the gate, but this guy's name isn't on the list." The team leader looked at Saiwoo and thought to himself, "He cleared the tower and came out without a scratch? That doesn't make sense. It could only mean this guy must have obtained some pretty decent skills." Just then, a black-haired hunter stepped forward and cut the conversation short. "I'll take care of this," he said, flaring up. He turned to Saiwoo, demanding, "Who are you? Why isn't your name on the log?" Our boy responded casually, "I didn't come in through the entrance." The black-haired guy snapped, shouting, "You entered through the gate, didn't you? Then you should have come out the same way. How can someone exit without entering?" Our boy shrugged, replying, "It just turned out that way." The black-haired hunter let out a mocking chuckle. "This guy doesn't respect his seniors at all," he said, pointing a finger at our boy's head with a smirk. "Looks like our boy awakened some kind of camouflage skill and is playing games. If you don't want to get hurt, then our boy better start talking." But Saiwoo only stared at him with a blank expression. Infuriated, the black-haired guy asked, "What's that look for?" Still pointing his finger, he pressed closer. Our boy smirked and said calmly, "Why don't you stop with the nonsense?" "Have you lost your mind?" the man shouted. Our boy's smirk widened. "Didn't I say I'd defeat you?" he said, now wearing a confident grin. "Come on, bring it." The opponent, enraged, threw a punch at our boy. The scene cut to a few moments later. The receptionist, rushing over, shouted, "What on earth is going on here?" She found the black-haired hunter and his entire team lying on the ground, groaning in defeat. A nearby staff member, visibly shaken, explained, "That person I reported earlier for causing a disturbance got into a fight with the security team, and now he's vanished." Min Sijun arrived and asked the staff, "Is there any CCTV footage clearly capturing this person?" The staff member nodded and showed him the footage from the time of the incident. "As you can see," he said, "in just milliseconds, that guy took down 5 hunters and then disappeared without a trace." Could he be a hunter with stealth-type abilities? The staff wondered. Sijun shook his head. "No, that's just pure speed. Nothing else." "What does that even mean?" the staff asked, puzzled. Sijun thought to himself, "It's definitely Saiwei Hyung. He hasn't changed a bit in 10 years. Without hesitation, Min Sijun gave the order. "Issue a wanted notice. Mobilize everyone in the guild to find this guy. Do not engage. Just tell him you're under Min Sijun's command and bring him to me. Hurry." "Yes, sir," his team responded. Standing in the corridor, Min Sijun stared into the distance, thoughts racing. Where has he been all this time? Why now? Was he kidnapped, or did he escape? There had to be a reason for his long absence. If he had been in Korea, he would have come to me by now. So if he's really back, where would he go first? Sijun's gaze landed on the brown-haired girl who had emerged with Saiwoo. Pointing at her, he said with certainty, "She's the one who came out of the tutorial tower with him." The girl nods, stating that it's true and that she didn't do anything. It was the person who came with her who did everything. Sijun is impressed by her, noting that she exited the tower quickly and may have acquired some valuable skills. The girl shyly replies that she isn't sure if it's good or bad, but she did receive an A-rank skill. Sijun is astonished to hear that. They haven't even conducted the final assessment yet, but he thinks it's best to secure her for the guild in advance. He then comes up with an idea and tells her to tailor the contract terms to her liking and sign with their Empire Guild. The girl lights up with joy upon hearing that. "With the Empire?" she asks, almost in disbelief. She adds that she can't believe this is real, and if it is, it will be a great honor for her and her family. Just then, a voice from behind remarks, "The guild name might be Empire, but they're acting like thugs." Min Saiwoo turns around and calmly tells the speaker to watch his language. The camera pans to reveal Hunter Ryu Jawan, an S-rank hunter and the guild master of Geum. He smirks at Sijun and says he chose his words carefully. "Did I upset you? You're always so absurdly meticulous." Choi Sung, another S-rank hunter and the guild master of White Lion, steps forward and observes that Sijun appears to be getting outplayed. He adds that it seems everyone showed up after being contacted by the association. He further mentions that the entire security team was taken down possibly by an unregistered awakened. This unknown individual defeated not just 3 hunters, but the security team as well. Choi Sung emphasizes that they don't know who this hunter is yet, but they must find him. At this level, the individual has likely awakened a high-grade skill and may become a top-tier talent. He says plainly that he would love to bring this hunter into his organization. Ryu Jawan laughs, saying, "Whoever finds him first gets him." He adds that as long as they find the guy, it doesn't matter if the methods are a bit shady. Min Sijuan glares at him. Choi Sung suggests that they each search for the hunter independently, since neither has time to waste. But they should inform each other if they find anything about this new awakener. Before leaving, he points to the brown-haired girl, offering her his card. He tells her she can take her time to think about her decision. As an awakened, any guild would welcome her. "Just do as you please," he says. While walking away, Ryu Jawan remarks that he'll be in touch if he finds the new awakener. Min Sijuan responds in frustration, muttering that it's not like that's going to happen. In another scene, Jawan's assistant asks how his conversation with them went. Jawan instructs his assistant, Jinsik, to gather all the C and D-rank hunters from Geum, form a team, and deploy them immediately. "I want to find this new awakener," he says. Jinsik smirks and asks who he's referring to. Ryu Jawan grins and replies, "I'm talking about Min Sijuan's brother, Hunter Min Saiwoo." Then the scene shifts to a restaurant, where Saiwoo is waiting for his fried chicken. Fry remarks that the first place Saiwoo came to after returning to Earth is one that serves nothing but fried birds. Our boy denies the claim and tells Fry to just try it. He's certain that once Fry tastes it, he'll understand why he rushed over. Fry takes a bite, visibly impressed, and exclaims that the chicken is incredible. He dramatically laments how he's wasted his entire life, asking how our boy possibly survived 100 years in the demon realm without experiencing this. Our boy calmly tells him to be quiet. He's filling him up with humanity. Fry demands more, urging our boy not to hog it all for himself, insisting that everything is his now. He thanks Saiwoo for letting him share the fried bird with him. As they walk down the street, Fry asks where they're headed. Our boy, clearly annoyed, responds that he's going home. When they arrive at a house, Fry asks if this is Saiwoo's home. Our boy confirms it, opens the door with his hand, and quietly steps inside. As he enters, a voice calls out, saying he's late. It's his father's voice. His mother then asks if he's hungry, saying dinner is ready and he should call his brother Sijuan. Suddenly, it hits him. This is his childhood. His mother repeats the question, and he watches a little boy running toward her, shouting that he's hungry. Their mother, holding the pot, tells them to wash their hands first. The vision fades, and he's left staring at an old, abandoned house. Our boy sits in silence, stunned. He hadn't expected something like this. Thinking that he still can't recall his parents' faces, he reflects bitterly that while people say forgetting is a gift from God, for him, it's a curse. Saiwoo spent 100 years in the demon realm, surviving endless battles on a foreign world. The dulling of his senses, the passage of warped time, and the erosion of his sense of self, all of it tried to erase him. He feared the curse of oblivion would consume him entirely. So he clung tightly to fragments of memory, his younger sibling, his disciples. They weren't just memories. They became obsessions, anchors, lingering attachments. And that's okay. For Saiwoo, it's enough that he survived a century. Fry looks around and remarks that Saiwoo's home feels lonely, and strangely, their place in the demon realm felt warmer. He adds that Saiwoo survived because of him too. Our boy pauses, then silently agrees and thanks Fry in his heart. Suddenly, a thought hits him. There's no chicken here. Fry smirks and admits that, logically, he's got no comeback for that. Saiwoo rises, adjusting his expression. He smiles softly and says he just wanted to stop by briefly and that it's time to move on. Our boy steps into the backyard and asks if they should start looking for the kids. He wonders aloud if everyone's been well these past 10 years. Thinking of his younger brother, he smiles again, hoping Sijuan is doing okay. At that moment, a shout comes from outside the gate. Someone says they've finally found him. A red-haired man approaches and accuses him of being the one who caused a scene at the tower exit. He introduces himself as Bayan Hakmun, a C-rank hunter from Vajra. He also questions if Saiwoo even realizes how long they've been searching for him. Our boy shrugs and replies indifferently, asking if he's supposed to feel sorry. Bayan yells back, demanding if he didn't hear. They're from Vajra. Our boy answers them calmly, saying it doesn't matter to him where they're from. Bayan, clearly irritated, asks if Saiwu still doesn't understand what they want or the situation he's in. Saiwu smirks and remarks that even kids are becoming hunters these days. What a wonderful world they live in. Bayan, enraged by the remark, declares that he'll teach Saiwu a lesson. He suddenly jumps behind him and lands a punch, sending our boy flying into the wall. Chuckling, Bayan mocks him, asking who Saiwu thinks he is to talk like that. They start ridiculing him again. A skill window appears, displaying a C-grade skill called Lightning Flash, the ability Bayan just used. Saiwu turns to Fry and asks how about it. Does he want to eat it? Fry replies that it's the first skill he's tasted since returning to Earth, and he's eager to try it. The others are stunned to see Saiwu getting up. In an instant, our boy closes the distance and strikes Bayan, slamming him to the ground. Bayan's teammates are shocked at the sight. Our boy tells Fry to go ahead and eat the new skill. A dark magic circle appears, and Saiwu successfully extracts it. He remarks that Frey's abilities work on Earth too. Fry grins and says it feels good, but still not as good as chicken. One of Bayan's teammates yells in frustration and charges at our boy. Without hesitation, Saiwu defeats them all with a single, swift strike. Another attacker comes from behind, but our boy dodges easily and counters with a powerful kick. Another skill window appears, this time showing Vital Point Strike, a C+ grade ability. Our boy notices the opponent's blade is dull and wonders why a swordsman would carry such a weapon. He mutters that he'd like to borrow it. Just as he prepares to strike again, a voice calls out behind him. Our boy freezes in shock. It's his younger brother, Sijuan. Seeing his older brother after so long, Sijuan begins to cry. 20 years ago, the gates opened on a peaceful Earth, throwing the world into chaos. Monsters poured out of the gates, rampaging across the land, and the first generation of awakened individuals gained their powers the moment the gates appeared. With no policies or laws in place to control the situation, it became an era of barbarism, where everyone was inexperienced and simply trying to survive. In the midst of this chaos, Min Sijuan and his siblings lost their parents at a young age, forcing them to survive by any means necessary. Saiwu was one of the first generation awakened, who dropped out of school to become a hunter in order to raise his younger brother. Young Min Sijuan once asked his elder brother why he wasn't going to school. Saiwu smiled and told him that he had work to do instead. Sijuan asked if he was doing all this because of him. Saiwu patted his head and replied that he was just terrible at studying, so he decided to start his career early. Sijuan stayed quiet for a moment, then asked sadly if he would be coming back late. Saiwu smiled again to comfort him and promised he'd return early. Then, he gently closed the gate behind him. The scene shifts to the present, where Saiwu arrives at Sijuan's place. Our boy is surprised to see that his younger brother lives in such a nice home. He asks Sijuan if he really bought this place on his own, even without a loan. Clearly shocked, our boy asks if he's really succeeded. Sijuan responds coolly, saying it's nothing special and that the money was earned using the skills he learned from Hyung. He tells Saiwu that this is the house they were meant to live in together, and there's a room prepared for him too. Inwardly, Sijuan can hardly believe it's really his older brother. How could the person they searched for all these years suddenly reappear after 10 years? Our boy chuckles, joking that he'll be raised by his little brother now, since there's a room waiting for him in this fancy house. He praises his brother, telling him he's worked hard. Min Sijuan smiles slightly and replies that it was Hyung who did all the hard work. What nonsense is he talking about? Now truly accepting the reality, Sijuan tells our boy that he has no idea how hard he searched for him. He asks where Saiwu has been all this time and why he only returned now. Our boy chuckles again, joy in his eyes, and says that he has 100 years worth of stories to share, placing his hand gently on Sijuan's head. As they sit together, Saiwu tells him everything. To summarize, Sijuan recounts that 10 years ago, when Saiwu defeated the fourth demon lord, he was transported to another dimension by an artifact the demon lord possessed. In that other world, Saiwu met a being called a predator, capable of extracting other people's skills. For 100 years, our boy lived with that power, growing stronger, and eventually sought out dragons with dimensional magic. When Saiwu reached the Dragon King, he defeated him and obtained the dimensional orb embedded in the dragon's heart, which allowed him to return to Earth. With that, he finally made it back home. Now, our boy continues, telling Sejuan that the predator crossed over to Earth with him and is now inside his head. Sejuan is shocked and asks again if he means the predator is inside his head and if it's some kind of possession. Our boy replies that it's not possession, but more like a partnership, a comrade. Our boy tells Sejuan not to take it too seriously and assures him that his Hyung isn't crazy. Sejuan tells Saiwu he believes him. He adds that the world they live in now isn't one where things like that sound unbelievable anymore. It doesn't matter. He flares up emotionally, saying it's enough for him that his older brother is back. Our boy smiles and tells him it's Sejuan's turn to share. He points to a picture on the laptop and asks what happened in the country over the past 10 years that allowed someone like Choi Dae-soo to become president. Sejuan begins explaining. After Saiwood disappeared, Dae-soo took all the credit for defeating the fourth demon lord. With that, he was celebrated as the greatest hunter of the first generation. Using his artificial reputation, he ascended to the presidency. He continues to push policies that work against their guild. Sejuan confesses that he's afraid of what Dae-soo will do if he finds out that Saiwu has returned. Our boy scoffs, saying Dae-soo's intentions are obvious. After all, he's the only SS rank hunter in South Korea, and frankly, it's laughable. Saiwu then brings up the group, called Gwem, the ones who attacked him at the house. He asks if they're Dae-soo's lackeys. Sejuan explains that Dae-soo's guild is called Infinite. There are 7 representative guilds in South Korea, collectively known as Heptagram. Their own guild, Empire, is one of them. He adds that Vajra is a guild belonging to the second generation and is led by Hunter Ryu Jawan. Sejuan reassures his brother that he'll handle the situation from today, so Saiwa shouldn't worry about it. Our boy, watching him, is quietly stunned. His little brother has changed. He's become a bit rough around the edges in these 10 years. Our boy asks him about his disciples. Sejuan replies that they've been living apart. Then Saiwu inquires if Sejuan has any disciples of his own. Sejuan responds that they haven't contacted each other in a while. Xiaolong went back home, and Kang Yohwa is now under Choi Dae-soo. Hearing this, Saiwu remarks that it's a bit unexpected. Then he asks about Minjun. Sejuan replies that she was killed. Saiwu's expression hardens with anger, and our boy asks who did it. Sejuan explains that Minjun's body disappeared, so they couldn't identify the culprit. He adds that the only ones who could kill a hunter are other hunters or unregistered awakened individuals. At the time, even HMCS participated in the investigation, but there was no progress. Our boy asks what HMCS is. Sejuan replies that HMCS stands for the Hunter Special Investigation Unit, an international agency operating on the front lines of hunter-related crime. He shows Saiwu the laptop screen and continues, explaining that HMCS has the authority to investigate and arrest all awakened criminals. In other words, they're like hunter police. Our boy asks if he has any connections there. Sejuan nods and replies that he does, but questions if Saiwu seriously plans to join them. He adds that if it's an investigation our boy wants, he should use their guild's information team instead, and warns him not to get involved with dangerous places like HMCS. Our boy answers that he's not just looking for information. Sejuan interrupts, pointing out that hunters are about combat, while HMCS deals with crimes. He advises Saiwu to rest since he just returned, and takes some time to regain his senses. Our boy replies while scrolling through the laptop, calmly saying he spent 100 years fighting in the other world. And after surviving that, what hasn't he done? He says with a gentle smile. Suddenly, Sejuan remembers something. He had forgotten Saiwa's nickname. He says, if that's how Saiwa feels, he understands. Yehi of Frozen Soul is a manager there, and he'll make contact. Saiwa thanks his brother with a soft smile. Sejuan thinks to himself that although his brother's face is the same, the atmosphere around him has changed. He wonders what really happened in that other world. Our boy sighs and tells Sejuan that he's seen a face somewhere before. Sejuan cuts in, "Who?" and leans over to look. They both sit in front of the laptop. Sejuan begins reading aloud. HMCS, Gangbuk District Team Leader Huang Jianggu, a 1.5 generation hunter. Do you know him? Then the scene shifts. 2 days later, at the HMCS headquarters Gangbuk team office, a brown-haired man yells in frustration, "These second-generation guys." His team member, startled, asks what's wrong. The brown-haired man flares up, saying they've just received a notice from higher-ups that a new rookie is being dropped into his team. The teammate sighs, replying hesitantly, "Huh." The brown-haired man continues, saying that back in his day, during the Lawless Zone era, everything was about strength. They used to write wills before going out on missions. He then pauses, remembering something. "Did I ever tell you about the time I almost died in a raid nearly 10 years ago? 768 days. The team member responds, "I think I've heard that one before." The brown-haired man insists, "Well, listen to it again." He starts recounting how, as a rookie, he took a fatal wound during a mission. He grows emotional, saying their party was on the verge of collapse and losing everything. But then, a healer appeared with miraculous abilities, like Hua Tuo, and saved his life. At that moment, our boy enters the room and calls out, "Byung-gu." Siwoo says, "Why are you changing your name?" It confuses people. Our boy asks him if he remembers him, the lifesaver. The brown-haired man is too stunned to respond. His eyes widen as he yells Siwoo's name in shock. At the HMCS headquarters, Byung-gu introduced our boy to his team as the newest recruit to join their Gangbuk unit. He added that since Siwoo was new, he might not be familiar with how things worked around there. He firmly instructed the team that if Siwoo ever needed any information, they were to provide it immediately. As his seniors, they were to treat him with the utmost respect. A green-haired girl whispered in astonishment, remarking how unusual it was for their team leader to act this way. The boy standing beside her told her to stay quiet. This new recruit didn't seem like an ordinary one. Byung-gu then pointed at the green-haired girl and called out her name, Kim Sung. Startled, Kim Sung hesitantly responded, "Yes, I'm listening." Byung-gu ordered her to follow him to the conference room, explaining they would conduct a quick briefing on the new recruit. The other team members speculated whether the new recruit might be a 3-star hunter. The scene shifted to the conference room. Sung turned to Siwoo and asked, "Would you like a coffee? Americano or mix?" "Mix," Siwoo replied. Byung-gu held out a uniform to our boy, explaining it was the standard HMCS deployment gear. He asked for Siwoo's size. Before Siwoo could respond, Kim Sung, who served as the team's data manager, raised her hand and interrupted. She stated that since this was an official briefing, she hadn't received any instructions regarding the new recruit and wasn't sure what information to provide. Siwoo calmly told her to compile and summarize all hunter death records from 20 years ago. Sung blinked in confusion, asking if he meant 20 years worth of data. That would be a massive undertaking, especially considering they had to submit reports to the Hunter Association. Byung-gu cut in before she could protest further. "Stop making excuses," he said, his tone sharp but composed. "You've got enough experience to figure it out." Turning to our boy, Byung-gu smiled. "Don't worry, she'll handle it quickly and expertly." Still bewildered, Sung muttered to herself, wondering when the team leader had changed. Then, reading something on her screen, she asked Siwoo, "When you said killed, were you only referring to humans?" Siwoo nodded. "Only cases officially recognized as murder by HMCS will do. Also, include a list of hunters who are still alive." He then crushed his paper cup, deep in thought. Killing an awakened hunter was nearly impossible, unless the attacker was also awakened and of equal strength. If someone had managed to kill a high-tier hunter like Minjun, chances were the culprit had been an awakened hunter themselves. Even if they'd been caught or killed, there should be a record somewhere. Tracking them now took priority. Sung asked where to send the compiled data. "To my phone," Siwoo replied. Just then, someone called out to the team leader. With visible irritation, Byung-gu told them to come in. A team member entered and reported that the police had requested support. A turf war had broken out between crews, some of whom included awakened individuals. Byung-gu frowned. "Can't the police handle it? They're just low-ranked stragglers." Sung interjected. "One of them is Cerberus." Byung-gu's expression turned sour. "Those guys again." Our boy turned to Sung. "Cerberus. They're not your average crew," Sung explained. "They're involved in arms trafficking, contract killings, and there are even rumors about hunter trafficking. Regular police can't handle that kind of threat." Hearing this, Saiwu told Byung-gu to take him along. The team leader sighed. Didn't I tell you to change your name to Jiang-gu? Our boy simply stared back at him, expressionless. Byung-gu chuckled. All right, fine. If you're going with that, I'll stick with Byung-gu too. Then he added, let's go. Our boy stood and followed him, now dressed in the standard HMCS uniform. As they prepared to leave, Byung-gu said, you're still a rookie. Think of this as part of your training. The scene shifted. In a dimly lit room filled with scattered chairs and injured individuals on the floor, a voice sneered. The field captain of the Bloodless Reaper is no big deal. Kong Ho, the second in command of Cerberus, smirked. At least not in front of the shield, right? His assistant nodded. You're totally right. A red-haired man, Jiken, Cerberus's third in command, stood up slightly and smirked in quiet amusement. That's a bit unfair, he said to Kong Ho. I could take down those guys too. Kong Ho turned to him with a grin. Feeling left out, Jiken? If Jiken is serious, then he should try defeating him. Jiken responds that he'll wait for the right time. One of these days, he plans to challenge him. Kong Ho laughs and says they wouldn't get far without him, adding that it's a good thing Jiken quit being a hunter and joined the organization. He remarks that their boss really does have a good eye for talent. Kong Ho's assistant interrupts, asking if they should begin expanding their territory. Kong Ho nods and declares that, as of today, the place belongs to Cerberus. Suddenly, Kong Ho is attacked by someone. One of the crew members, startled, asks who the intruder is and wonders aloud if he's a stray who escaped. It's our boy. Jiken looks over and asks Kong Ho if he killed the other guys. He reminds him that messing with HMCS complicates things. Kong Ho shrugs and replies, who cares? Just take care of it like you always do. Our boy steps forward and, with a cold expression, says that judging by how casually they're talking, it's likely they've killed a few hunters before. Janko reacts in shock. Our boy then says firmly, show me what you've got. Kong Ho's assistant demands to know why he's here and why he's alone. Janko turns to the assistant and says, what do you mean? What should we do? If he wants to see something, show him. Kong Ho unleashes his skill and orders the team to take Saiwa down. Without hesitation, they all charge at him. What follows is swift and brutal. Saiwa effortlessly defeats them all. Eventually, he walks over to Janko, the only one left conscious, and wakes him up. Our boy calmly tells Fry, eat this skill. Fry responds excitedly, saying it's a decent one and he's eager to consume it. Lying on the ground, Janko stares in disbelief. All of them, defeated by one guy, he mutters. He looks up and asks our boy, why are you going this far? He insists that they didn't want anything and that they've never killed a hunter. Our boy answers coolly, I know. I didn't think you were capable of something like that anyway. Janko, still dazed, asks, then why? Our boy replies, I just wanted to test how strong awakened criminals have become lately. He pauses, then adds, and judging by your performance, taking you down early was the right call. Just then, Byung-gu arrives, calling out to our boy in a worried tone. He asks if he's all right, explaining that they've cleared the entire upper floor. He reminds our boy that he insisted on going alone, which is why he was concerned. Our boy responds that he defeated all the others and spared one, Janko, since Byung-gu would need at least one boss-level target. Byung-gu nods, replying that it's acceptable as long as he was attacked first. He reminds Saiwu that HMCS operates as an international organization and must follow standard procedures. All agents are required to wear body cams to verify their actions. Byung-gu watches the aftermath, thinking in astonishment that these Cerberus members were ruthless enough to warrant immediate execution. Yet Saiwu took them all down alone. And he's speaking about it so casually? He recalls that our boy used to be called the Mad Dog, and wonders silently, was he always this rough? Our boy then admits that he forgot to turn on his body cam. He shrugs and adds that he's still in his probationary period. Then, he turns to Byung-gu. Will you cover for me? Byung-gu hesitates, then answers, yes. Meanwhile, a man hiding under a table picks up a call. Speaking quietly, he reports, Cerberus has been completely wiped out. They didn't even get a chance to fight back. Kong Ho was arrested, and Jiken is dead. On the other end of the line, A-rank Hunter Gret from the Hong Kong Guild listens. Furious, his expression darkening with rage. Hunter Gret, and the Hong Kong Guild have arrived in Korea. Members of the Korea Hunter Association are present at the airport to receive Hunter Gret. Lee Junyoung steps forward and introduces himself. However, Hunter Gret ignores the introduction and immediately asks where his brother is. Lee Junyoung replies that Jiken is currently placed in the Hunter Forensics Department. He further explains that he will accompany Hunter Gret to verify the body and complete the necessary procedures to arrange his designated accommodation. Gret sighs and forces a smile before asking about a suspect. He states that he heard the person responsible for his brother's death is affiliated with HMCS. Lee responds that he cannot comment on anything related to that. Gret then asks if he is permitted to leave the premises outside of his scheduled agenda. Lee replies that it is not allowed. Hunter Gret must remain at his designated accommodation until the prearranged departure date. If he leaves without authorization, under Hunter International law, he will face deportation along with disciplinary action and penalties. Lee then states they will now escort him to the forensics department. Frustrated, Hunter Gret points at his junior and orders him to find the individual responsible. Ryu Yinpeng, a B+ rank hunter, smiles and nods in agreement. Hunter Gret, burning with quiet rage, thinks to himself that he'll wait. He'll be the one to take down the person who killed his brother. The scene shifts to our boy speaking with Sijuan. He asks whether everything was taken from Minjun's belongings. Sijuan, offering him a diary, explains that 2 days after Minjun was killed, the house was completely ransacked. Our boy confirms, asking if a hunter's mana is like a fingerprint, capable of revealing their code, attributes, and rank. Saiwoo then notes that the investigators believe the culprit took everything to erase any trace of their presence. Since Minjun was an archaeologist and his house was filled with valuable research material, not a single item containing his mana was left behind. Our boy then asks if they're certain the real culprit did this, or if it might have just been a random burglary. Sijuan looks confused by the question. Saiwoo points to a sheet of paper, stating that most of the stolen items were valuable. With the level of mess left behind, the chances of leaving evidence actually increase. If the true intent was to erase mana traces, it would have been far more effective to simply set fire to the house and destroy everything. Sijuan asks if Saiwoo is implying that someone else took advantage of the empty house after Minjun was killed. Our boy replies that he reviewed HMCS crime files and found more cases like this than expected. As he walks down the corridor, our boy mutters that it looks like they'll need to rough up some fences. Sijuan responds with concern, saying that even if the resale process took time, it's been years. There's no way Minjun's things are still out there. Our boy smiles and replies, "We won't know until we check." The scene shifts again to later that day. Our boy vents to Fry, saying that this was exactly what he had told Sijuan with confidence. Now, exhausted and frustrated, he wonders aloud why there are so many thieves in such a small country. A whole week has passed, and he's getting nowhere. Fry reassures him, saying he has good instincts and should trust him. He'll guide him in the right direction. Moments later, after following Frey's lead, our boy finds himself in a dead end. He explodes in frustration, yelling that this was a waste of time. Fry sighs, clearly helpless. Then, our boy overhears a conversation nearby. Someone is telling another person about rumors that HMCS has been cracking down hard on the fences lately. The speaker adds that just yesterday, the entire Yongdeungpo area was taken down. A blonde-haired man listening and asks, confused, if that's really true, and whether HMCS actually did it without a warrant. He replies that it's the HMCS headquarters, an organization with full investigative authority and the right to eliminate awakened criminals on the spot. He adds that anyone who resists could end up either in prison or dead. The blonde-haired guy scoffs, saying they're just government puppets. Another person agrees, commenting that this is exactly why there are no high-rankers in organizations like HMCS. He continues, noting that the person taking down fences this time isn't just any ordinary agent. He explains that they work in stolen hunter goods and suggests it might be time to relocate their warehouse. Our boy, standing behind them, suddenly asks where that warehouse is. Shocked, they spin around and ask who's there. Smiling, our boy responds, "It's time for your warehouse to be confiscated." The group panics. One of them turns to his boss and whispers that he thinks it's the guy from HMCS who's been cracking down on fences. The boss immediately informs his team via phone to regroup at Sector 2, declaring it an emergency. Our boy calmly asks again where the warehouse is, warning them that unless they want to get injured, they should start talking. He doesn't have time to waste. The blonde-haired guy commands his assistant to handle the situation. The assistant nervously replies that he's not a combat type. Suddenly, more team members arrive and ask their boss what's going on. The boss smirks and replies that this idiot doesn't even realize where he's walked into. He declares that even if this guy is from HMCS, they'll teach him a lesson and no one will ever find his body. Our boy listens silently and then remarks that they're making it easier for him by gathering in one place. A yellow light bursts across the area. Turning to Fry, our boy tells him to use a new skill for the first time. Fry replies that 1 chicken will be counted as payment for 1 skill. Our boy agrees to the deal. The gang looks on in disbelief, having never expected something like this. Saiwoo activates his lightning skill and, with a single decisive strike, takes all of them down. Our boy turns to the blonde-haired man's assistant and asks, "So, ready to show me the warehouse now?" The assistant, trembling, asks who Saiwoo really is. Our boy smirks. "I'm just a guy." After capturing all of them, our boy begins searching the area for clues. Fry, pointing at a diary, asks Saiwoo if that's the mana he was so desperate to find. Our boy confirms that it is. He recognized it immediately. However, one thing remained untouched. The diary is actually a research journal belonging to Minjun. Our boy realizes there's a security spell placed on it, one strong enough that it won't open without the mana of its original owner. Fry asks if he's still going to eat, since the book won't open and they can't read it. Our boy, checking his phone, replies that it doesn't matter. He just needs the mana inside, not the book itself. He then calls Byung-gu, informing him that he has a dozen criminals tied up and needs him to come clean up the scene. He also tells him to bring the car. They've got somewhere else to be. The scene shifts to a battlefield neutral zone, a hidden marketplace where underground techniques, abilities, and magical artifacts are exchanged freely. Among the crowd, a blue-haired girl browses through a display of skill cards laid out on a table. She studies them carefully, her eyes narrowing in thought. After a long pause, she hesitantly chooses one. The girl's name is Shaman Mamyoung, one of the 12 chiefs of Black Skyfall. She smiles softly, sensing that an important guest may soon be coming her way. In the battlefield neutral zone, our boy remarks that nothing has changed compared to 10 years ago. Fry comments that our boy is quite popular. Everyone is looking at Saiwoo. He adds that their abilities all seem impressive and suggests they should take someone down and eat one of their skills. Our boy dismisses the idea, replying that this is a neutral combat zone and it would be too much of a hassle to fight anyone here. Just then, Mamyoung approaches and notes that it's been a while since she last saw him. She says she's been waiting for him and invites him inside. Once they enter her place, Mamyoung comments that it's hard to believe 10 years have passed. He hasn't changed at all. Our boy replies that Mamyoung is still the same and still unnamed. She ignores the remark and asks where he's been all this time, pointing out that he completely cut off contact. He hands her Minjun's book and replies that it's a long story, not a very interesting one. He then explains that he wants her to extract the mana from the book. Mamyoung chuckles, saying he hasn't changed, always straight to the point. She agrees to extract the mana, mentioning that she enjoys doing things like this. She asks if he still remembers how it's done. Our boy picks up a knife from the table and points it toward his hand. He explains that mana, once channeled through abilities or magic, can't easily return to its original state. He makes a small cut on his hand, beginning the ritual. To explain the process, he compares a completed spell to curry. You can remove solid ingredients like carrots and potatoes from finished curry, but you can't separate the dissolved curry powder, water, and other ingredients back into their original forms. This seemingly impossible task becomes reality thanks to a woman known only as Unnamed. With her unique skill, Mana Hacker, Mamyoung collects the mana, an illegal medium, a power that defies causality, a force that goes against the laws of nature. She places it back on the table and explains that abilities like this are often linked to crime, which is why society views them with suspicion. She then cuts her own wrist slightly with the same knife and smiles, stating that the process is complete. Fry, visibly uneasy, mutters that Mamyoung's skills are unsettling and definitely not his type. Our boy shakes her hand and thanks her for the compliment. Mamyoung, still smiling, asks if Saiwoo is leaving so soon. He replies that he is pending work and promises to visit again. She sighs wistfully, remarking that he's always been such a mysterious one. As they leave, Fry complains that the place gave him a bad vibe and that he never wants to return. While driving, our boy asks why Fry is acting so strangely today. Fry flares up, saying that both Saiwoo and Mamyoung are incredibly depraved. Our boy raises an eyebrow, confused by the remark, and asks what he's even talking about. Fry dodges the question and changes the topic, asking where they're headed. He just wants to go home and rest. Our boy replies that they're going to the Ancient History Research Institute, the place where Minjun was taken down. Upon arrival, our boy barges into the building. Fry groans, pointing out that ever since gaining powers, Saiwoo has been barging in everywhere, and it's technically trespassing. Our boy waves it off, saying not to worry, the building belongs to the Empire Guild. He adds that it's fortunate Sijuan bought and preserved the place early on. Looking around, our boy reflects that he's not the only one still struggling to accept Minjun's death. He places his hand on a table and states that he wants to see the memory of that day. Fry looks concerned. You're really going to use that? Our boy murmurs something to himself. Suddenly, the room turns blue. He places the container he received from Mamyoung on the floor and speaks the words, Mana Remembrance. The blue light begins to illuminate the surrounding. The Mana Remembrance skill activates, and translucent figures start to appear. The glass container emits a steady, glowing blue light. Fry, clearly irritated, asks if Saiwa's mana reserves are so small that he can't see anything clearly. Our boy replies calmly, explaining that it can't be helped. Mana Remembrance doesn't display the target's memories, only their emotions. Saiwoo reflects that Minjun was never a weak hunter. If someone managed to take her down so quickly and alone, the culprit must be highly skilled. He watches the glowing scene intently, confusion settling in as he mutters, It was an order. That can only mean one thing. The higher-ups were involved. Minjun wasn't just a researcher. She was tied to an organization. Fry glances at him and asks if he's okay. Our boy, puzzled, responds, What do you even mean by that? Fry begins to speak seriously, recalling how, back in the demon realm, Saiwoo constantly talked about his younger siblings and his disciples. Even after 100 years, he never forgot them. The very first thing he did upon returning was to look for them. Now, after watching his disciples' death with his own eyes and remaining completely composed, Fry questions whether our boy even has a heart at all. Our boy, surprised and amused, picks up the container from the floor and asks where Fry learned to speak like that. It's hard to believe you'd say something like that, he says with a light laugh. Fry shrugs and replies, I picked those words from X-Flix. Our boy doesn't respond. Fry continues, saying that Saiwa's emotions are surging so violently, they're making him feel nauseous. He then asks whether our boy is hiding his emotions, or if he simply doesn't have the ability to show them. Staring deeply into the container, our boy replies that he's completely fine. Still, a flicker of grief appears on his face. He adds that after 100 years, something inside was bound to break eventually. Suddenly, a masked figure enters through the door and asks, Are you really Min Saiwoo? It's Ryu Yinpeng. Without waiting, Ryu questions where Saiwoo has been wandering all day and what kind of trouble he's been causing. Then, changing the subject, he says someone really wants to meet him and tells our boy to come quietly. Our boy counts to 3 and then remarks that Ryu is acting awfully arrogant for someone dragging around 6 little weapons. Ryu remains silent for a moment, then smirks. Good. That makes this easier. He offers Saiwoo a choice. Option 1, come quietly. Option 2, resist and suffer severe injuries. Our boy sighs and says that, rather than getting hurt, he'd prefer to go along quietly. Ryu turns to his team and instructs them to capture Saiwoo. But just as they move in, our boy strikes first, attacking the one closest to restraining him. A smile spreads across his face. Actually, I like the second option more, he says with amusement. Fry grins from the side, calling the opponents fools and revealing that it was all a ruse. The enemy team rushes Saiwu at once. One of them shouts that he'll kill him, but just before the strike lands, a voice calls out, "Stop!" Our boy turns his head and sees Hunter Gret stepping forward. Gret, eyes locked on Saiwu, declares, "I'll take over from here. He's my target now." Our boy smirks, clearly entertained. "Well played, Gret." Angered, Gret demands to know if Saiwu is the one who killed Jiken of Cerberus, Gret's brother. Fry whispers to our boy that, among everyone they've encountered so far, this guy Gret has the most refined skills. Saiwu replies nonchalantly that he doesn't remember what Gret is talking about. Filled with rage, Gret releases his aura and charges at Saiwu. He throws his best punch, but our boy easily blocks it. With a smile, our boy comments that Gret's skills aren't bad. Saiwu then observes aloud that Gret is likely around A rank. Hearing this, Gret realizes something shocking. Our boy is a healer, especially since Saiwu is healing himself instantly after being hit. Wasting no time, Gret launches another strike, but Saiwu swiftly dodges by stepping back. Ryu and the others are stunned, witnessing Saiwu block the guildmaster's strike with ease. Gret yells at his subordinates, demanding to know why they're just standing there and ordering them to attack together. But before they can move, Saiwu activates his lightning flash skill and instantly takes down all of Gret's subordinates. Our boy, smiling, states, "It's been ages since things got this interesting." Gret's defeated team can't believe it. A healer with acceleration skills? They begin to question Saiwu's identity. Meanwhile, Gret watches carefully and realizes that Saiwu is analyzing all of his movements and dodging them with minimal effort. None of the acceleration-type hunters Gret has met in the gate had ever shown such precision. Gret wonders just how wide this guy's field of vision is. He's no ordinary man. Seeing the situation escalate, Gret decides to go all out immediately. At that moment, Saiwu speaks calmly. "You seem to be mistaken, Gret. If a crime has been committed, whether by your brother or someone else, they must face punishment. You and the others are awakened criminals. I'm simply the hand carrying out justice. So why do you look like you're the one who's been wronged? Shouldn't the people your brother hurt be the ones feeling that way?" Frustrated and enraged, Gret snaps, telling Saiwu to stop spouting nonsense. He shouts that Saiwu knows nothing about the life his brother lived. Gret declares that Jiken had no choice but to become a criminal. He did it to feed and protect Gret when they were kids. Everything he did was just to survive. At that moment, Gret unleashes his A-rank skill, Wolf Fong Heavenly Strike, launching dozens of mana arrows toward our boy. Fry, sighing heavily, tells our boy that Saiwu is really overworking him today. After all, Fry is just a fragment of mana and feels exhausted. Saiwu replies, "Just one more time. I'll handle the rest after that." Then, Saiwu casts a legendary rank spell, Neutralize. The barrage of mana arrows suddenly vanishes, nullified before they reach him. Ryu stands in shock. He hadn't expected Saiwu to possess a skill capable of completely negating an A-rank hunter's attack. Ryu realizes they're at a disadvantage, and maybe they should surrender. Before he can act, Saiwu charges toward Gret, shouting, "Did everyone who went through what your brother did choose to become a criminal?" Our boy glares at Gret. "Stop with the fake sentimentality. That kind of excuse is outdated." He kicks at Gret, but Gret manages to block the attack, though the force pushes him back. Ryu and the others grow worried for their guild master, but Gret shouts at them to stay out of it. Gret thinks to himself, a skill of that level can't be used repeatedly. If he's a healer, I still have the advantage in endurance. He'll run out of mana soon in close combat. Gret charges again, using the same skill, aiming another powerful strike at our boy. But once more, Saiwu dodges with ease and lands another kick. "Stop using that skill," our boy warns, striking Gret again. "The building's already falling apart. Are you going to take responsibility if it collapses?" Gret, even more enraged, uses Heavenly Strike again, but Saiwu steps out of its path effortlessly. In desperation, Gret turns to Ryu and shouts, "Bind him!" Confused, Ryu activates his binding skill but hesitates. "Wait, what do you want, Guildmaster? First you say don't get involved. Then Gret says, 'Do it.' And Ryu, unsure at first, follows the command. We see Ryu's binding spell successfully stop Saiwu from moving. Seeing this, Gret unleashes his full strength and charges at our boy to strike. In that instant, Saiwu activates his special skill, Life Steal, an SS rank ability that absorbs the life force of any target within range. As the skill takes effect, Gret begins to transform. He's been turned into a zombie. Shocked, Ryu stammers, asking how something like that could possibly be a healer's skill. Our boy calmly responds, saying that calling the very first skill Saiwu awakened as a hunter something like that misses the point entirely. Saiwu was never an ordinary healer. Instead of using mana to heal, his abilities are rooted in manipulating life force itself. It's life spirit sorcery. Then our boy turns to Ryu and says it's his turn. Terrified, Ryu backs away and pleads that he won't resist. Saiwu takes him down as well. Afterwards, our boy glances at his body cam and realizes it should have been recording. He quickly turns it on and asks if Byungu can see him properly. Saiwu clarifies that he didn't start the fight, again, so this qualifies as self-defense. On the other end, Byungu is stunned. He immediately calls and informs our boy that he accidentally pressed the live button instead of record, and almost 6,000 people are already watching the stream. The scene shifts to a government office, where officials are gathered, discussing how this situation has become tricky for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. One of them questions when HMCS started streaming the capture of awakened criminals. Another responds that the practice began around 2 years ago as a promotional campaign launched by HMCS International Headquarters to attract talent. He explains that the concept was to stream the process of apprehending criminals using social media integration. However, it was considered a failed project during its trial phase, as HMCS never produced high-quality footage. Suddenly, the man realizes an incredible talent must have recently joined HMCS. Why would someone this skilled end up here? The other official replies, "Is that really the issue right now? What matters is that the person taken down in the live stream was a guest hunter from Hong Kong's Red Guild. After verifying the video's authenticity, there are no legal violations under current laws." At that moment, Choi Dae-soo, the current president of South Korea, enters the room and asks, "What's going on?" A few days later, at the Empire Guild cafeteria, which is filled with many customers, the guild master asks Min Saiwu if he is even listening. Min Saiwu is focused on eating his meal while the guild master talks about the live video that was released recently, growing anxious as he realizes Min Saiwu isn't listening at all. Fry comments that the guild master shouldn't bother someone while they're eating and should just be quiet and enjoy his pork cutlet. Enjoying his meal, Min Saiwu happily compliments the delicious cafeteria food, jokingly asking if that's the reason they call it a major guild. Then he curiously asks if he can eat in the cafeteria every day from now on. The guild master gives up and tells Min Saiwu that of course he can, but at least listen to what he's saying, and wonders how Min Saiwu has become so strangely obsessed with food. The guild master explains that the live broadcast of Gert from the Hong Kong Red Guild subduing someone has become a major topic online. Fortunately, the video was recorded from a body camera, so the footage was shaky and Min Saiwu's face wasn't clearly shown. Still, the guild master worries that if Choi Dae-soo finds out Min Saiwu is back, there's no telling what he might do. He's also concerned because Min Saiwu once mentioned that his mana hasn't fully recovered due to side effects from dimensional transfer. Considering what Guild Master Choi Sungli Dae-soo has done over the past 10 years to erase all traces of Min Saiwu, the best thing right now is to lay low. Min Saiwu picks up a piece of tamagoyaki, confirms that he'll keep a low profile, and then feeds the guild master, saying that if he's that worried, he'll be careful, so the guild master should just eat. The guild master eats the food and asks if Min Saiwu seriously thinks he's a kid, even though he's almost 30. Min Saiwu replies that to him. The guild master will always be a little brother. Two hunters notice the guild master sitting in the cafeteria and approach to greet him, asking why he suddenly came for lunch. They're surprised to see Min Saiwu sitting with him. Min Saiwu remembers meeting them at the tower and asks for their names. The guild master introduces her as Hunter Shin Jisoo, who recently joined their guild as a new recruit. Jisoo agrees and tells Min Saiwu that she even awakened an A-rank skill thanks to him. She also mentions that the guild master had already told her his name. The guild master asks if Hunters Suk and Jisoo are together today, because of the joint seminar for new guild hunters. Hunter Suk confirms that's the reason and introduces Hunter Chu Heyman from the White Lion Guild, as well as Hunter Yamato from the Frozen Soul Guild. Hunter Yamato bows politely to show respect, and Hunter Suk Taiji adds that he's integrated from the Imperial Guild. Hunter Suk tells Min Saiwoo that he's heard a lot about him from the guild master, but never had the chance to meet him until now. He continues, saying that he's also heard of Min Saiwoo's great achievements in HMCS and looks forward to working with him. Hearing that, Min Saiwoo happily replies that he feels the same. Hunter Chu Heyman then puts his hand on Hunter Suk's shoulder after hearing that Min Saiwoo is the big shot rookie who caused such a stir. He tells Min Saiwoo that he saw the video of him defeating Gert, but since Gert was kind of his rival, he asks again if Min Saiwoo is really the guy from that video. It sounds like nonsense to him. Hearing that, both Jisoo and Suk grow visibly worried. Hunter Suk asks what's wrong with Hunter Chu Heyman today, and even the guild master gets angry, telling Hunter Chu Heyman that he's being incredibly rude to someone he's meeting for the first time, and inside the Imperial Guild's building, no less. Arrogantly, Hunter Chu Heyman asks if he can't even ask a question, taunting that the Imperial Guild sure seems strict. Hunter Suk asks if Hunter Chu Heyman has lost his mind, which only fuels the guild master's anger. The guild master remarks that it's the White Lion Guild that should be embarrassed by Hunter Chu Heyman's behavior and wonders how Guild Master Choi Sung-lee of the White Lion Guild would react if he found out. Seeing the tension rise, Yamato and Jisoo quietly decide to step away for a moment while the argument continues. Hunter Chu Heyman laughs and asks if the guild master is really going to report him to the higher-ups, even though he's Hunter Chu Heyman, an A-rank hunter and the Azura of White Lion. Arrogantly, he continues, boasting that he's the direct disciple of Xiaolong, the leader of White Lotus, and taunts the guild master by asking if he really thinks a guild name will scare him. It seems Min Saiwoo recognizes the person Hunter Chu Heyman is talking about. Hunter Chu Heyman continues arguing with the guild master, claiming that guild master Sung-lee Hyung has always been fond of him from the start. Finally, Min Saiwoo claps his hands, saying that's enough, and tells Hunter Chu Heyman to stop complaining in someone else's guild. If he really wants to confirm it, he can come and find Min Saiwoo himself. Min Saiwoo continues that just by looking at Hunter Chu Heyman, it's clear his so-called master failed to teach him proper manners. So, Min Saiwoo wonders how well that master actually trained Chu Heyman in combat. This makes Chu Heyman very angry, thinking about how a younger hunter like Min Saiwoo dares to mention his master. If they weren't inside another guild's building, he claims he would have already taught Min Saiwoo a lesson. Since Chu Heyman can't fight Min Saiwoo there, he kicks a chair in anger and threatens him to watch his back at night. Hunter Suk becomes very worried after hearing that and immediately apologizes to the guild master, assuring him that he will handle the matter. However, the guild master says it's fine and tells them to just leave. Then, the guild master tells Min Saiwoo not to worry because he'll take care of Hunter Chu Heyman himself and will make sure the White Lion Guild compensates them for property damage, which will cost at least a few million won. Min Saiwoo reassures the guild master not to worry, saying that he held back just enough. Then, smiling, Min Saiwoo adds that Hunter Chu Heyman is just a disciple's disciple, so he should cut him some slack. Sometime later, Baek Jeonho, who is from HMCS and the director of the Korean branch, settled the matter with Guild Master Choi Sung-lee from the White Lion Guild. While drinking tea, Baek comments that Guild Master Choi Sung-lee could have simply processed this through official documents as usual, so it's an honor that he personally visited their headquarters despite his busy schedule. Guild Master Choi Sung-lee replies that it's not an honor and clarifies that this time, it's not just about collaboration, they also need to issue an apology. Regarding the previous incident, he would like to formally apologize for the disrespect one of their guild members showed toward an HMCS rookie. Guild Master Choi Sung-lee continues that they've already discussed the matter with the Imperial Guild, but he felt it necessary to personally meet the involved party and apologize. Baek smiles and tells Guild Master Choi Sung-lee that there's no need for someone of his stature, the Guild Master of the White Lion Guild, to personally apologize. After all, there wasn't any serious physical confrontation. Still smiling, Guild Master Choi Sung-lee insists on meeting the involved party, but Baek has already seen through his intentions and tells him that what he's trying to do isn't an apology, it's a scouting attempt. Beck explains that hunters are invaluable assets to HMCS and are extremely busy. Right now, they're actually on assignment at the prison, escorting awakened criminals, so they're not even in the building. Guild Master Choi Sung-lee becomes uneasy, realizing Beck already knew his true intentions, and comments that it's unfortunate. He then adds that it's rare for a prison to request HMCS support. Beck agrees that it's rare, but not unheard of, and reveals that, until now, such requests were usually handled by large guilds. He then says to Guild Master Choi Sung-lee that it would be fair to say even more things are about to change from now on. Choi Sung-lee stands up, saying he understands what Beck is implying, and suggests that Hunter Chu Heyman should personally apologize if he himself cannot meet Min Si-woo. Hearing that, Beck agrees that it's fine since it's something that should be resolved between the two of them anyway, and then tells Guild Master Choi Sung-lee to travel safely as he prepares to leave. After stepping outside, Choi Sung-lee reflects on how far they are going just to keep Min Si-woo hidden, but he resolves that he won't give up on someone of that caliber so easily. He calls Secretary Co and instructs her to contact Hunter Chu Heyman, telling him to prepare for a trip and to make sure he presents himself as politely as possible. After taking the order, Secretary Co asks Guild Master Choi Sung-lee where Hunter Chu Heyman should meet. Guild Master Choi Sung-lee instructs her to tell him to meet at Incheon. Meanwhile, in Incheon, a police officer is sweating due to the summer heat. He asks why HMCS hasn't arrived yet, even though they were the ones who made the support request. Another police officer replies that they said they would be arriving soon. The first officer wonders why the prisoners are suddenly causing such a commotion when they've already been locked up for months. It's exhausting for him, especially since the inspection season is approaching. Frustrated, he throws down the file of a criminal named Sherry Voke, who had gone quietly when he was arrested. So the officer assumed he wouldn't cause trouble, but now he has suddenly started a riot as if he's lost control. Even with a mana suppression shackle on, he managed to overpower 5 people. The other police officer adds that Sherry was apparently well known in the underworld as a high-profile special criminal, and even investigative agencies struggled to catch him. The first officer, clearly frustrated, decides to transfer this troublesome prisoner to Kangwon as soon as possible. The scene then shifts to the prison cabins, where Sherry is confined. He listens to someone speaking through a mouse device, who tells him it's a message from Bestia, saying that Sherry already knows about the upcoming meeting and that the organization has already made its move there. Sherry is told he now has a task to complete if he wants to get out of prison. After hearing that, and decides to cause trouble inside the prison. At the same time, Min Si-woo arrives at the entrance of Incheon, an awakened prison. Hunter Chu Heyman also arrives in Incheon, but is shocked to learn that Min Si-woo has just left. Chu Heyman wonders what's with the rushed inmate transport and mutters that it wouldn't have been such a headache if Sung-lee Hyung weren't so obsessed. Then, Chu Heyman suddenly notices a bus leaving and quickly asks if that's the bus carrying Min Si-woo. The police officer confirms that it's the one transporting the awakened being, and that Min Si-woo is acting as the escort. Realizing this, Chu Heyman hurriedly gets into his car, muttering in frustration because now he'll have to go all the way to Gangwon-do. Anxiously, he drives off, vowing to claim both his overtime pay and an extra allowance for this trip while grumbling about the guild leader. Meanwhile, inside the bus traveling down the road, Min Si-woo is sitting casually, sipping a cup of cold coffee. Sherry calls out to him, saying that Min Si-woo is hurting his feelings by drinking it all by himself. Min Si-woo coldly replies with a simple, "Yeah," which makes Sherry irritated. Sherry calls him rude and asks if Min Si-woo is the warden in charge of his transfer. Again, Min Si-woo calmly replies that he isn't the warden and keeps focusing on his coffee. Sherry then smirks and asks which major guild sent Min Si-woo, since he hasn't seen him before. Noticing that Min Si-woo doesn't react even after hearing his name, Sherry comments that Min Si-woo must be quite confident in his abilities. Min Si-woo asks why, innocently questioning who Sherry even is. Sherry laughs in disbelief, amazed that Min Si-woo got on the transport without knowing who he's guarding, and calls him reckless, saying he should at least know why a prisoner is being transferred. Min Si-woo casually replies, asking if it's because Sherry talks too much. This angers Sherry, who then tries to break free from his restraints, saying that he's wearing those cuffs because he once overpowered 5 awakened individuals. Then Sherry arrogantly asks if Min Saiwoo understands the situation now. He continues by asking what Min Saiwoo thinks is the reason for transferring an A++ level awakened person in a regular transport vehicle, especially with a so-called newbie escorting him. Continuing his rant, Sherry asks if Min Saiwoo realizes just how dangerous his position is. Suddenly, the bus crashes, flipping through the air before landing heavily on the ground, completely wrecked. 2 awakened figures appear nearby, one an older man and the other a young boy. The old man wonders if Sherry is still alive. Sherry kicks open the door and angrily asks the old man if he was planning to get him hurt too. The old man laughs, saying that if the gray wolf of Bestia could be taken down by something like this, then forget it. He teases Sherry, saying that right now, he looks more like a puppy on a leash. Sherry becomes furious and threatens the old man jokingly about losing his fake teeth. The old man chuckles, saying that Sherry still can't take a joke, and asks if he's dealt with the escort officer he came with. Sherry steps out of the wrecked vehicle and confirms that he hit Min Saiwoo when the explosion happened, so he assumes Min Saiwoo is probably lying somewhere unconscious. Sherry then turns to the boy and tells him to remove the cuffs quickly. The boy warns Sherry to stay still unless he wants to lose a wrist, explaining that mana engineering is quite delicate these days. After a short while, the boy successfully breaks the handcuffs, allowing Sherry to stretch his arms and shoulders, saying he thought he was going to die of frustration. The purple-haired boy rolls his eyes, telling Sherry to stop exaggerating since it's only been a few months. Suddenly, Hunter Chu Heyman arrives and orders the criminals to stop moving. He comments that he had wondered why they chose such a gloomy road and notes that they've caused a major incident. Hunter Chu Heyman had already expected something like this, but seeing Min Saiwoo apparently defeated by these individuals convinces him that Min Saiwoo isn't as special as others claim. He mutters that Sung Lee Hyung really doesn't have a good eye for people. Cracking his knuckles, Hunter Chu Heyman demands to know who the criminals are and which organization they belong to, asking if they'd prefer to talk now or after being restrained. The purple-haired boy recognizes Hunter Chu Heyman's face and warns the others that he's an A+ rank hunter from the White Lion Guild, then asks when he started following them. The old man looks around and confirms that no other hunters are detected nearby, meaning Hunter Chu Heyman is alone. Sherry comments that it's fortunate because it has been a long time since he warmed up his body. Chu Heyman takes his battle stance, telling the criminals to stop whispering among themselves and reminding them that he asked who they are. Sherry walks up to Chu Heyman and asks if he really wants to know, even though he's going to lose anyway. Sherry suddenly activates his skill called Bear Wolf, an A+ grade ability that transforms the user's body into that of a werewolf, maintaining the form until their available mana runs out. Chu Heyman grows frustrated seeing a heteromorphic awakener, but despite that, he believes the transformation will revert once Sherry is defeated. Filled with determination, Hunter Chu Heyman decides to use his own skill, Azura, Diamond Rampage, another A+ grade ability. By rotating his mana internally, it forms an invisible armor that envelopes his entire body, enhancing his physical capabilities and movements to an advanced level. Chu Heyman begins striking Sherry, who blocks the attacks while analyzing the A-grade skill and admits that it would have been troublesome to face Hunter Chu Heyman alone. On the other hand, Hunter Chu Heyman becomes increasingly uneasy as he continues his barrage of punches. He can feel the impact landing, but Sherry doesn't seem to falter at all. After taking a blow to the face, Sherry mocks him, asking if this is supposed to be a welcome back massage service. The purple-haired kid watching the scene comments that Sherry has taken quite a beating, while the old man grows concerned about support from other awakeners possibly arriving at any moment, saying they don't have time to waste. The old man then orders the purple-haired kid to finish it quickly. The kid activates his 10-headed viper skill, commanding the summoned creature to restrain Chu Heyman. Startled, Chu Heyman tries to dodge, but the viper relentlessly tracks and ensnares him. As Sherry prepares to attack, he remarks that the White Lion Guild isn't anything special and taunts Chu Heyman, asking if he thinks he's important just because he belongs to a top guild. He continues, saying that in reality, Chu Heyman is just another low-tier fighter. Frustrated, Chu Heyman fires back that Sherry is acting arrogant while ganging up on him 3 against 1. Sherry laughs at this and kicks him again, saying that he should have just waited quietly for backup instead. The old man urges Sherry to finish it since time is short. Sherry agrees and channels his mana, forming sharp claws, asking if Chu Heyman has any last words, though he adds that he won't listen even if he does. Hunter Chu Heyman grows furious, thinking that he might actually be defeated in a place like this. Suddenly, a white light flashes near him as Min Saiwoo appears, striking the purple-haired kids. After that, Min Saiwoo turns to Chu Heyman and asks if Xiao Long taught him to give up in front of an enemy. Chu Heyman is shocked to see him alive. Min Saiwoo calmly continues, saying it took him a while to figure out how to use the body camera. He wasn't sure which one was live and which one was a recording. Hearing that, Fry jokes if Min Saiwoo is already becoming farsighted and tells him to get his magnifying glass ready. Sherry can't believe his eyes. He was certain he had taken Min Saiwoo down before escaping. The old man tells Sherry that the purple-haired kid is gone and adds that he can't even sense the mana flow, which means Min Saiwoo isn't using a normal skill. Anxiously, Hunter Chu Heyman tells Min Saiwoo to wait for support because these opponents are dangerous. Ignoring the warning, Min Saiwoo begins listing the criminals' offenses. They launched a preemptive attack on the escort officer, released the seal on an awakened prisoner, destroyed the escort vehicle, attempted to harm Chu Heyman, and dared to interrupt Min Saiwoo's sacred coffee time. Declaring under the authority of an HMCS hunter, Min Saiwoo states that the 3 of them are considered offenders caught in the act and will now be dealt with on the spot by him. After that, Min Saiwoo begins glowing with the same light that surrounded Chu Heyman when he used the Azura skill. He tells Chu Heyman, who is Xiaolong's disciple, to lie there and watch carefully, because Azura is not just a skill for striking. Sherry curses at Min Saiwoo and charges toward him, demanding to know what he's talking about. Min Saiwoo then punches Sherry, sending him flying. The skill Min Saiwoo is using is Azura, whose rank is unknown. It is the final form of the technique, rapidly rotating mana throughout the body to create armor that covers the entire frame, enhancing physical combat and leaving trails of its energy with every movement. Chu Heyman is shocked to see that Min Saiwoo is using his master Xiaolong's technique, and then charges toward Sherry, who is still midair. However, he's suddenly interrupted by the old man, who uses Thunderwall Strike, Mahiraga, an A++ rank lightning-based magic skill capable of unleashing both large-scale area attacks and precise strikes simultaneously. The old man is astonished when Min Saiwoo effortlessly dodges the attack and can't believe what he just witnessed. Min Saiwoo realizes that the old man is using double casting with a cursed tool and compliments him, saying that he hasn't wasted his years. Hearing that, Fry asks what it is, admitting he's never seen a skill like that before, and wonders if it's something he can eat. Min Saiwoo tells him not to, explaining that it's like a one-time use scroll. It activates when mana is channeled into the engraved spell created by its maker. He adds that such tools are extremely expensive, and most ordinary hunters wouldn't even dare to obtain one. Fry comments that he's not interested anyway. Chu Heyman asks about Min Saiwoo's true identity and how he knows his master's technique. But before he can finish, he's suddenly pinned to the ground by one of the old man's skills. The old man then warns Min Saiwoo not to move unless he wants to see Chu Heyman crushed under his gravity field. Min Saiwoo smirks and says to the old man that while his ally was being defeated, he was scheming in the background, and now he's making threats? The old man corrects him, saying that it's not a threat, but a deal. He tells Min Saiwoo to walk away from the scene, promising that if he does, Chu Heyman will remain unharmed. The old man continues, saying that Min Saiwoo was only dragged into this mission by chance, so if he leaves quietly, there won't be any problems. Uninterested in such offers, Min Saiwoo asks what the old man is talking about. He explains that if he wasn't searching for something important, he wouldn't have accepted this troublesome mission in the first place, then casually remarks that Chu Heyman can handle a beating. This angers Chu Heyman, who thinks otherwise. The old man, surprised, asks if they aren't on the same side. Min Saiwoo replies that the only ones forming alliances are them, and then reveals that he knows they are hunter-killers working for a powerful organization. He points out that the old man carries multiple high-grade cursed tools, meaning he specializes in countering awakened abilities, and that his access to sealed prison artifacts indicates deep connections. After exposing this, Min Siwoo starts walking toward the old man and demands to know who they're working for. The old man asks why Min Siwoo is questioning him when he already knows he came alone, then asks about his purpose and identity. Min Siwoo grows irritated and asks if the old man forgot to put in his hearing aid, reminding him that he already asked who he's working for. The old man shouts for Min Siwoo to stop approaching, but Min Siwoo ignores him and activates his shockwave skill, targeting the old man's cursed tool. The light begins to grow from the cursed tool, making the old man immediately drop it and stumble backward, realizing that Min Siwoo has just caused an overload by using a similar lightning-based skill. However, the old man believes that such a feat should be impossible for anyone with an ordinary human's mana density. Fry comments that the meal is starting to look a little more appetizing now. Min Siwoo considers this a good warm-up, noting that 40% of his mana has been restored. He then tells the old man to stop wasting time. The old man replies that Min Siwoo may have strength, but lacks understanding. Even if they were part of an organization, he asks if Min Siwoo really thought they would reveal any information so easily. While trying to stall for time and help Sherry recover, the old man continues, explaining that anyone affiliated with a proper organization signs an oath of silence, an oath bound by their own mana, and anyone who leaks the organization's secrets becomes a target for immediate elimination. Sherry finally regains consciousness, coughing, and the old man calls him a thickhead, saying that he's finally coming to his senses. Min Siwoo remarks that if the old man is only afraid of dying, then there's no need to worry, because after experiencing it a few more times, he'll get used to it. The old man, now terrified, orders Sherry to do something. Sherry activates his claw skill and charges toward Min Siwoo, shouting that he'll take him down even if it costs him everything. But before Sherry can attack, Chu Heyman intervenes, punching Sherry in the face and declaring that the numbers are finally even. Angered, Sherry tells Chu Heyman that he should have stayed down instead of interfering. Chu Heyman replies that he's talking nonsense, saying that the real fight is just beginning. Min Siwoo then activates his skill, known as a 1,000 Winds, an SS rank technique. It's a large-scale wind attribute spell that manipulates atmospheric flow using mana, spinning it at high speed to deliver tremendous force. After the attack, Min Siwoo grabs the old man by the collar and asks how it feels, telling him that this is what facing death is like. The old man screams in pain as Min Siwoo asks how many more times it will take before he decides to answer his questions. The old man tries to speak, but since his words aren't the answer Min Siwoo demanded, Min Siwoo prepares to make him experience it again. Even Chu Heyman is unsettled watching this. He realizes that Min Siwoo is using healing abilities to keep them alive right before they collapse. Seeing such precise control over healing and damage, Chu Heyman thinks that if he were in their place, he won't be able to endure that. Watching this incredible display, Chu Heyman can't help but wonder what kind of skill Min Siwoo is using. Min Siwoo then asks them for the third time who they're working for. Sherry kneels down, begging Min Siwoo to stop, and pleads with the old man, who's lying on the ground, to just tell him already. The old man finally reveals that they work for Bestia. Min Siwoo immediately understands what that means. The old man, half convinced before, now feels certain after seeing Min Siwoo's abilities. He realizes that Min Siwoo is one of the 3 vanished legends from long ago, Mad Dog, Min Siwoo. Min Siwoo smiles and says that since they can finally speak, it's time for the real conversation. Then, he uses a skill to form a projected image and asks if they recognize this snake-like figure. The assassin organization Bestia is a specialized elite hunter association centered around its leader, Crow. In this world, they hold significant influence in both skill and the number of commissioned requests they handle. The old man, a first-generation hunter who had lived in the shadows for many years, had no reason to hesitate when accepting an invitation from such a powerful organization. For killers belonging to Bestia, maintaining secrecy about fellow members is a fundamental rule. From the moment one takes the oath of silence, their life and death are tied to the organization's control. Until one's final breath, Loyalty is the only law that matters. The old man had been affiliated with the organization for 15 years and believed he would never betray them. He thought he would rather die than reveal their secrets. However, after experiencing the pain of near-death multiple times, his lips began to move on their own. The old man tells Min Saiwoo that the individual they mentioned is one of Bestja's members, codenamed Black Mamba. Min Saiwoo finds the name strange and remarks that they are indeed part of the Bestja organization. He then asks both of them if they were ever involved in the assassination request for Hunter Young Minjun. Neither of them responds, so Min Saiwoo releases a faint surge of pressure toward them. Sherry begins trembling on the ground, feeling as though the air itself is pressing down on him, and wonders what kind of monster Min Saiwoo truly is. The old man insists they were not involved in the assassination attempt on Hunter Young, explaining that while they are affiliated with Bestja, they are independent members who rarely cooperate with others. He adds that members usually don't know each other's identities or whereabouts. However, he reveals that they came to retrieve Sherry from prison because of the organization's upcoming biannual meeting scheduled to happen in a week. They had been ordered to break Sherry out and take him there. The old man addresses Min Saiwoo respectfully, calling him Lord, and offers to share the meeting's location and infiltration route if Min Saiwoo wishes. He promises that they will do their best to assist him and then bows deeply, begging to be accepted as his subordinates. Hunter Chu Heyman, stunned, calls the situation absurd and asks Min Saiwoo, whom he refers to as brother, if he's seriously considering their offer. Sitting calmly, Min Saiwoo asks since when he became Chu Heyman's brother. Chu Heyman blushes and explains that since Min Saiwoo used the Azura technique, it's clear he must be connected to Chu Heyman's master. If nothing else, Chu Heyman believes Min Saiwoo must at least be a senior or perhaps even his master's mentor. He then says that instead of taking those criminals as subordinates, Min Saiwoo should take him as a disciple. Chu Heyman admits he may have been rude at first, but promises that if Min Saiwoo accepts him, he will serve him faithfully in every way. Before he can ramble further, Min Saiwoo cuts him off, telling him to be quiet, and Chu Heyman immediately obeys. Min Saiwoo then states that all he wants is information about the snake-like individual known as Black Mamba. He believes these two criminals will eventually be eliminated by their own organization, but if any information about him leaks to Bestja through them, it could cause serious complications. After considering the situation, Min Saiwoo decides to accept them as his subordinates, which greatly shocks Chu Heyman. The old man thanks Min Saiwoo sincerely, vowing to be loyal and never cause trouble. However, Min Saiwoo interrupts, explaining that since they were once forced into service, there's still a chance they could betray him, and that's why they must take a mana oath. Hearing this, Sherry whispers to the old man that a mana oath is a binding contract where one's mana core is sealed if the oath is broken. The old man quickly whispers back, telling Sherry to be quiet unless he wants to relive what just happened to them. Min Saiwoo begins casting the mana oath and instructs the old man and Sherry to gather mana in their cores and state their names. The old man declares his name as Red Ghost, and Sherry follows suit. Min Saiwoo formally announces that from this moment on, Sherry and Red are his subordinates, and their reward for loyalty is protection. As long as they remain bound by the oath, their lives will be safeguarded. Then, Min Saiwoo asks if they understand. Red bows deeply and even forces Sherry to bow with him, both agreeing to serve under Min Saiwoo. Chu Heyman starts crying, asking about himself to Min Saiwoo, saying that even though Min Saiwoo is accepting criminals, he's not accepting him. He then tries to threaten Min Saiwoo, saying that if he doesn't take him as a disciple, he will report this to the association. Hearing that, Min Saiwoo gives Chu Heyman a wicked look, which immediately frightens him, and Chu Heyman hurriedly replies that he was just joking. Min Saiwoo then makes the scroll vanish and confirms with Red that the meeting is in a week. After that, he calls out to Chu Heyman and reveals that he will take him in as his disciple. Chu Heyman becomes overjoyed and asks if Min Saiwoo is really serious about accepting him as a disciple. Taking a breath, Min Saiwoo confirms it, explaining that he'll need as many hands as possible for what's to come. He thinks to himself that the four of them are just enough to cause a proper disturbance. Feeling proud, Chu Heyman arrogantly goes to talk with Red and Sherry, boasting that he's now Min Saiwoo's direct disciple. Meanwhile, Min Saiwoo begins walking away, smiling slightly as he thinks that he'll need one more person to handle the cleanup. The next day, in Incheon prison, the police officer is furious after hearing the news that a prisoner from the transport van has escaped. He shouts, asking if they even realize how dangerous that is, and adds that the guard came out completely unharmed as well. The officer complains bitterly about HMCS, calling it overhyped and unimpressive. The brown-haired man in the office looks at him sternly, telling him that if Min Saiwoo is going to fabricate a story, he should at least make it believable, and asks if he really thinks this can just be swept under the rug. The frustrated officer continues, asking why the new transport officer hasn't shown up yet, calling the whole operation sloppy. The brown-haired man calmly explains to the warden that prisoner transport teams typically consist of 4 to 5 officers, and when moving a high-ranking inmate to a maximum security prison, up to 10 officers are usually assigned. The warden is startled, and the man continues, pointing out that in this case, the warden specifically requested only 1 officer, excluding the driver, and that it was at this very Incheon facility. Sweating, the warden insists that it doesn't matter, claiming that the fact remains that the prisoner escaped. The brown-haired man interrupts, stating that according to his information, the new transport officer reported that the prisoner confessed to bribing high-ranking prison officials before the escape. The warden grows furious, calling it an obvious lie since the body camera was turned off when that supposedly happened. The brown-haired man replies that he understands, so they can't take the statement at face value. But since the issue has been raised, it must be investigated. Standing up, he informs the warden that HMCS will conduct a full investigation into both the escaped prisoner and the prison itself, and adds that he trusts the warden will cooperate. The scene then shifts to the brown-haired man now meeting with Min Saiwoo. He reports that the transport mission cleanup has been completed as requested and that the investigation into the assassination group's bribery scandal has already begun. Then he asks why Chu Heyman from the White Lion Guild, an unknown old man, and the escaped prisoner Sherry are present. Min Saiwoo silences him, telling him to be quiet and sit down, addressing him as Hunter Byung-gu and assuring him that there's a reason for everything. Once everyone settles, Min Saiwoo begins explaining the operation. He announces that tomorrow they will infiltrate the Bestia Assassin Organization's meeting, where 8 top-ranked awakened killers specializing in targeting other hunters will be gathered. He says the infiltration details will be explained by the directors, instructing Hunter Byung-gu and Chu Heyman to pay close attention. Shocked, Hunter Byung-gu asks if Min Saiwoo seriously intends to infiltrate an assassin organization's meeting with such a small team, and on an unofficial mission. Then he asks what the goal of the operation is. Min Saiwoo smiles and replies that the goal is obvious: the complete elimination of all assassins present at the meeting. The assassin group's meeting finally begins, and someone comments on the high attendance today. They are seated around a round table, and 2 chairs remain empty. The brown-haired woman calls the boy next to her an idiot, noting that Red Ghost and Sherry have not arrived yet. The brown-haired man replies that he didn't count those traitors as true members. The red-haired man joins in, saying that Red and Sherry don't seem like the type to have the guts to betray the organization, so their absence is unexpected. Hearing that, the blue-haired man smiles and suggests that they might be worth eliminating. The brown-haired woman curses Sherry because he promised to hang out with her and declares she will kill him. Another assassin interrupts, saying it's not their decision to make because how to handle traitors is up to the boss. The boss replies that she's enjoying the chatter and tells them to continue. It's been a while since their last meeting, and 3 people are missing, which even she finds shocking. She asks if anyone else has anything to say. Silence falls over the room, and the boss half-jokingly suggests a death match to decide who will take care of the traitors. The mood changes, and everyone falls quiet, until one of the members, Black Mamba, tells the boss to stop. Her jokes are never funny, and points out that the real problem is they already know the meeting's location and time. The brown-haired man replies arrogantly, asking if Black Mamba really thinks those 2 nobodies, Red and Sherry, can do anything. Are they going to storm their meeting? The moment he speaks, an alarm blares, alerting them to intruder activity, unknown movement detected across routes 1 through 5. The boss laughs at the alert, commenting that they were just talking about it. Some attendants stand and say there are 5 entrances, so they'll take one each. The brown-haired man grumbles that it's a hassle, while the brown-haired woman, acting smug, says she just put on a new outfit. Black Mamba sips his tea and urges them to wrap this up quickly and return. Before they go, the red-haired man asks why the boss is staying while Black Mamba and Hedgehog are not going. Black Mamba replies that he doesn't facing weak opponents, and Hedgehog notes that since every spot is taken anyway, she'll just focus on her game. Suddenly, Hunter Byunga notices the boss speaking to Black Mamba. The boss thinks aloud that she should have ordered them to not kill the intruders and bring them back for identification, but these guys are too violent for that. Black Mamba compliments her, saying merely keeping them in line is impressive. Hunter Byunga panics inwardly, thinking he has never won 50,000 won in his life, so why is he suddenly this lucky? Now rewind to 30 minutes earlier. Min Saiwoo and his team are preparing to infiltrate the assassin meeting. They reach the entrance of Bestja's meeting place, an impressively guarded hideout. The old man, Red, explains there are 5 entrances, each fitted with an intruder detection sensor. The interior layout shifts constantly, so they don't always know which entrance leads where, but all routes funnel to the central meeting hall. Ultimately, no matter which path you take, you end up at the same target. It's therefore only a matter of time before they reach the meeting area. Hearing this, Min Saiwoo realizes they need one person at each entrance. If everyone enters through the same door, the assassins could slip out another. He asks Hunter Byungu if he brought radios. Byungu confirms he did and begins searching his bag. Min Saiwoo instructs that each team member will take a different entrance, since the intruder sensors mean the assassins will be prepared if they detect movement. He tells them that if they encounter someone they can't handle, they must radio him and stall for time. Especially if they find the target, Black Mamba, they must report it immediately. After finishing the instructions, they decided to begin the mission. Everything went smoothly at first, but after Hunter Byunga stepped inside, the path was blocked off not long after. He quickly found the nearest air duct, snuck in, and somehow, without encountering a single fight, ended up reaching the central meeting hall first. Hunter Byunga wondered if the assassins had seriously forgotten to activate the sensors for that route. Just a glance around told him that everyone present was at least A rank or higher. The lax security, the way every path led directly into this hall, it all screamed that they intended to eliminate any intruder the moment they stepped inside. With 5 assassins gone to investigate the intruders, Byungu realized battles were likely breaking out across the area. Even if he called for backup on the radio, regrouping would take time. Thinking this through, he decided to start thinning out their numbers while he had the chance. He took a small marble from his pocket and tossed it near the assassin's table. Seeing the marble, Hedgehog walked over to pick it up. The moment she grabbed the marble, it detonated, instantly knocking her out. The boss calmly remarked that she was dead. Black Mamba stood up, saying that someone had managed to sneak in. Hunter Byungu threw a bomb toward them, but Black Mamba blocked it with his hand, complimenting Byungu on the ambush but saying he didn't enjoy games of hide-and-seek. He then tossed the bomb back into the air duct. With no choice left, Byungu revealed himself, landing on the ground and kicking at Black Mamba. The man blocked it easily and recognized him as a hunter from HMCS. Byungu grew anxious. He had only managed to take down one of them. Even after using a magic grenade designed for counterterrorism, his enemies were still standing. The black-haired man, who seemed to be their leader, wasn't even using visible skills, making Byungu wonder who he was. Black Mamba commented that there was no way Byungu had come alone. He asked if the traitors had told everything to HMCS. Byungu angrily replied, asking what if they had. Black Mamba smirked, saying he would actually be impressed, risking their lives to leave the organization only to end up under such a garbage guild master, Choi Sunglice. Furious, Byungu attacked again, silently using his skill to launch a knife strike at Black Mamba. The boss, sipping her tea, complimented his strategy. The knife struck, and Black Mamba laughed, saying he had almost forgotten Byungu's ability, telekinesis, if he remembered correctly. As they fought, Byungu noted how tough Black Mamba's body was and how quickly he healed. He wasn't using special skills, just reinforcing himself with mana. Then Black Mamba charged forward, calling it just a warm-up, and punched Byungu, sending him crashing into a wall. He hadn't wanted to leave handprints on Byung-gu, but now he said there was no helping it. He turned to the boss, asking for permission to finish him off. The boss nodded, saying she'd figure something out afterward. Byung-gu quickly reported through the radio that he had engaged the target in the central hall and that, aside from the target, there were 2 others present. Before he could finish, Black Mamba kicked him in the chest, knocking him to the floor. Black Mamba taunted him, saying he was a little late, and asked who was coming next, the HMCS chief, the traitor Red, or maybe the little wolf, Sherry. Laughing, he wondered if all of them were on their way. Just then, hunters Chu Heyman, Red, and Sherry arrived at the hall, charging in to attack Black Mamba. But he swiftly dodges, remarking that this is rather unexpected. He notes how surprising it is that they managed to deal with Bestja's killers so easily and still return alive. With a hint of mockery, Black Mamba comments that the boss must be quite disappointed. The boss smirks and replies that she thought she had chosen capable ones, but didn't expect them to be this weak. Even so, something feels off to Black Mamba. Judging by their injuries, there had clearly been a fight, but there's no way they could have defeated a tiger or a grizzly that easily. Suddenly, Chu Heyman lunges at him, shouting that Black Mamba talks too much. Black Mamba catches his attack effortlessly and reveals that he knows exactly who Chu Heyman is, a hunter from the White Lion Tiger Guild. With a sharp twist, he throws Chu Heyman back and coldly asks what he's doing there, considering he's not part of HMCS. Hunter Chu Heyman crashes near Byung-gu and apologizes immediately. Red and Sherry are exhausted as well, and Black Mamba realizes something doesn't add up. Their teamwork is sloppy, as if they only met yesterday. He concludes that they're just a group of awakened individuals whose paths wouldn't normally cross, not an organized team. Then he demands to know who brought them all together. The scene shifts to Saiwoo, who has already defeated all the assassins nearby. Meanwhile, Chu Heyman grows furious at Black Mamba's arrogance. He shouts that no one looks down on Chu Heyman of the White Lion Guild and urges Byung-gu to snap out of it and get up. Byung-gu stands and asks how everyone got into the meeting areas so fast. Chu Heyman explains that he rushed over as soon as he heard the call. It sounds impressive, but in reality, they were still fighting enemies near the entrance when Min Saiwoo suddenly appeared and ordered them to head straight to the center. Chu Heyman had been fighting the red-haired assassin at that time, and he assumed Sherry and Red Ghost faced similar situations. Regardless, he insists they must hold the target until Master Saiwoo arrives. They all do their best to attack Black Mamba, but he effortlessly dodges every strike. Sherry grows irritated, asking if it's even possible to capture an A+ rank awakened individual without going all out, and on top of that, it's Black Mamba. The old man Red senses something is wrong with the conference hall. He hasn't even used his skill yet. Red realizes that Black Mamba, an irregular awakened being, might have something planned. In terms of speed and power, Black Mamba is practically Bestja's second-in-command, though he doesn't possess high-level skills like teleportation or tracking. Red suspects they might have set up a hidden mechanism. Meanwhile, the leader of Bestja, the boss, Crow, simply observes the scene. Crow's abilities are immeasurable, even to Red, making him an unpredictable variable whose next move no one can foresee. Red decides to use his cursed tool. Driving it into the ground, he tells the others that he'll handle the leader while they focus on capturing Black Mamba alive. Sherry clashes fiercely with Black Mamba, but grumbles about Red's order, frustrated that he's always the one stuck with the dirty work. Black Mamba exhales slowly, asking if no one plans to answer his earlier question. At that moment, Chu Heyman prepares to strike while Black Mamba is in the middle of fighting against Sherry. Red then declares that no one leaves until Master Saiwoo arrives and immediately activates his binding formation skill, targeting both Black Mamba and Crow. Crow smirks and taunts them, asking if they intend to make his subordinates join their side too. Red warns him to stay calm, saying that even someone of his rank can't easily escape a binding formation. Hearing that, Crow chuckles and compliments Red's new boss for being strong enough to provide such powerful support. But as he raises his hand, his tone darkens. He says that even so, betraying the assassin organization so easily is going too far. Suddenly, without hesitation, Hedgehog attacks Red from behind. Seeing this, Hunter Byungu and Sherry rush to Red's side. Byungu shouts in disbelief that Hedgehog was definitely dead. At that moment, Black Mamba breaks through the binding formation. He mutters that continuing this any longer is a waste of time. Whether they believe it or not, Black Mamba and his group are quite busy. They don't know when reinforcements might arrive, and they still have to deal with the remnants of the fallen organization. That's why Black Mamba activates his skill, Draconian, declaring that he will make sure they all die as quickly as possible. Draconian is an A++ rank skill that mutates the user's body into a venomous, lizard-like form. This transformation can be maintained until the caster's mana is completely drained. Hunter Byungu moves to support Hunter Chu Heyman from the rear, but Chu Heyman tells him to stay put, warning that his ribs are broken and that normal attacks won't even scratch Black Mamba's hide. For now, Chu Heyman decides to take the lead himself. He punches Black Mamba head-on, feeling the impact resonate through his arm just as it did during their first clash. Chu Heyman realizes that while Black Mamba's irregular skill might appear similar to Sherry's, his mana density is abnormally high. On top of that, there's something strange about this conference hall. It feels like the ground itself is acting as a binding trap. Whatever the assassins have done here, the environment is working against them. Knowing this, Chu Heyman accepts that he's the tank of the group. His superior durability means his role is to buy time, though the chaos around him makes it impossible to expect much help. Black Mamba charges in and throws a powerful punch at Chu Heyman, hitting him with overwhelming force, unlike anything he's ever felt before. But suddenly, a knife strikes Black Mamba's hand, glowing with green mana. It's Hunter Byungu providing support from a distance. However, Black Mamba counters by using his skill Erosion, shocking Byungu. He didn't expect Black Mamba to wield elemental magic as well. The corrosive energy from the attack sends both Byungu and Chu Heyman crashing to the ground. Black Mamba swiftly appears behind Byungu, grabbing him by the neck. Hunters who walk in the light are often deluded, he says coldly. The rank of a skill, the amount of mana, or sheer numbers alone don't determine victory. He tightens his grip and continues. Did you really think a place you walked into so boldly wouldn't have countermeasures to protect itself? Meanwhile, Red is down, and Hedgehog is locked in a fierce fight with Sherry, screaming at him and calling him a liar. Black Mamba reveals that the entire floor of the conference hall is rigged with self-destruction mechanisms, tracking enchantments, and combat enhancements. Just as the name suggests, he sneers, "This is the snake's den. Once you've stepped inside, there's no way out alive. So stop your pointless resistance and die quietly." Suddenly, Black Mamba senses a surge of killing intent and instinctively retreats. A split second later, Hunter Saiwu appears, charging straight at him. Saiwu grabs Black Mamba by the arm and glares into his eyes. "I finally found you," he declares. Saiwu pinpoints Black Mamba and slams him back against the wall. Nearby, Hedgehog is fighting Sherry, who is being overpowered and demanding to know Hedgehog's real identity. Seeing this, Saiwu turns and attacks Hedgehog with lightning magic. This shocks Crow, who finds it nearly impossible because Saiwu had previously neutralized every spell cast inside their hideout. Fry then speaks, saying that it is only possible because he helped Saiwu. He comments that Saiwu is not that good, though only Saiwu can hear him. Crow is amazed because the faculty that cost millions has now become useless. Saiwu holds Black Mamba down, but Black Mamba stomps his hand on the wall and uses a skill to push Saiwu backward. Black Mamba then reveals that Saiwu is the suspect who eliminated the killers from Bestia and protected the people involved. After landing on the ground, Saiwu becomes angry and denies it, saying that Black Mamba is the real suspect. Crow becomes confused and tells Black Mamba she believes Saiwu is here because of him, then asks Black Mamba what he actually did. Black Mamba denies any wrongdoing, insisting that he only follows commissions, but based on what Crow said, he realizes this must be about revenge. Black Mamba claims he never leaves traces behind his missions, yet Saiwu somehow discovered the truth. Saiwu attacks Black Mamba, saying that before taking revenge, he wants to ask him something. Crow prepares to help Black Mamba, but Red and Sherry stop her, telling her not to move because Saiwu wants to hear something. Crow laughs, saying she did not intend to interrupt, then asks Red and Sherry what made them so loyal to Hunter Saiwoo. As Saiwoo continues overwhelming Black Mamba, Crow begins to wonder about Saiwoo's real identity. Meanwhile, as he takes the attacks, Black Mamba realizes he is in a bad situation because the buff he cast earlier has now become a trap against him. Since Saiwoo figured out who Black Mamba was, Black Mamba assumed Saiwoo might be a combat-type hunter, but his attack speed is far beyond what a normal melee hunter can achieve. Saiwoo punches Black Mamba, sending him into the air and crashing him against the wall. After falling, Black Mamba is severely weakened, commenting that he has never encountered anyone like Hunter Saiwoo. Although Black Mamba takes pride in knowing the abilities of ranked hunters, he has no idea who Saiwoo truly is. He places his hand on the floor to cast a spell and attack Saiwoo while shouting what Saiwoo wants from him. The moment he tries to strike, Saiwoo vanishes and reappears right next to him, still with his hands in his pockets. Saiwoo kicks Black Mamba and tells him that Saiwoo believes he is misunderstanding something. Only Saiwoo gets to ask questions, not Black Mamba. Saiwoo remarks that Black Mamba still does not understand how restrained Saiwoo is being right now. Hunter Saiwoo continues holding him down, saying that he could end the fight immediately, so Black Mamba should remain still until Saiwoo allows otherwise. After being overwhelmed, Black Mamba begs Saiwoo to stop, and Saiwoo finally pauses and asks who, besides the higher-ups, requested him to target Young Min-jun. Hearing the name, Black Mamba immediately realizes Saiwoo is referring to the archaeologist Young Min-jun. He starts laughing, saying that Saiwoo must be connected to Young Min-jun. Saiwoo firmly demands the information if Black Mamba wants to survive. While trembling, Black Mamba agrees to reveal what he knows. But during his explanation, he suddenly casts a mana circle on his tongue and attempts to attack Saiwoo, claiming that Saiwoo will not be able to hear him. After attacking, Black Mamba laughs and comments that killers cannot reveal any information about their clients. It turns out that Saiwoo is still completely fine and very angry at Black Mamba. Saiwoo then uses his healing skill on himself and, with a cold expression, says that this must mean Black Mamba does not want to tell him anything. So Saiwoo decides he will make Black Mamba want to share the information on his own. Black Mamba is shocked after seeing Saiwoo use a self-healing skill. Realizing he has no chance of winning against Hunter Saiwoo, he tries to ask Crow for help, but she refuses and apologizes, explaining that she is also surrounded. Seeing no way out, Black Mamba agrees to tell Saiwoo everything he knows. He starts to reveal the identity of the client, but before he can say the full name, he is eliminated because of the binding skill placed on him. From the few words he heard, Saiwoo anticipates that Black Mamba was about to say Pandemonium. Crow smirks after hearing Saiwoo mention that name and easily breaks free from Red and Sherry. She tells Hunter Saiwoo that she now understands who he is. Crow says that Saiwoo is the first-generation hunter who disappeared 10 years ago. Hunter Saiwoo, also known as Mad Dog. Ignoring the small talk, Saiwoo asks if Crow is also part of Pandemonium, but she confirms she is not. She explains that her organization consists entirely of assassins and does not take personal requests, adding that, in her view, killers are simply tools. She figured out Saiwoo's true identity based on his strength and the fact that he knew about Pandemonium. She also mentions that her sister once told her about a first-generation hunter who used unusual healing abilities. Saiwoo asks if she truly knows nothing else and warns her that if she lies, he will eventually find out. A dark aura begins gathering around Crow, and she tells Saiwoo she is not lying, because he has already figured out who she is, which confirms it all. She snaps her fingers, causing Hedgehog to wake up. Crow then tries to unsettle Saiwoo by saying it is strange that everyone has already forgotten about their existence, even though it does not matter to her. She breaks through the rooftop to escape with Hedgehog, and while flying through the sky, she asks Saiwoo whether he plans to chase her. Saiwoo responds that he does not need to, because he already knows what to do next. Hearing this, Crow opens a portal and departs, waving at Saiwoo and confirming that they will meet again soon. After they leave, Chu Heyman asks Saiwoo if he is sure they can simply let them go. Saiwoo replies that if he had chased them, they would have activated the destruction magic cast on the floor, and because Chu Heyman and the others are not in any condition to avoid it, he held back. Since they already obtained what they came for, Saiwu orders Byungu to take care of the scene. Unable to refuse, Byungu agrees. While thinking about Pandemonium, Saiwu walks toward Black Mamba, wondering what exactly he had discovered. Then Saiwu goes to his room and tries to search for any information about Pandemonium on the internet. 20 years ago, the first gate opened on Earth, and all sorts of things poured through. Mana, the source of all powers, monsters, magic stones, countless rare resources, and demons, a race from another dimension naturally adept at manipulating mana and specialized in skills, as if every one of them were awakened beings. After the first gate appeared, the demons took advantage of the world's confusion and slipped onto Earth unnoticed. They not only claimed control over the gates under the guise of higher dimensional overseers, but also treated humanity, whose civilization had stalled under constant attacks from mana storms and monsters, as an inferior species. After establishing their headquarters, the Demon King's castle, in the center of the continent, they monopolized every gate that had appeared across Earth and began acting as though they owned the entire world. Amid this chaos, a treacherous group of humans who pledged loyalty to the Demon King emerged. This group was called Pandemonium. Fortunately, their dominance did not last long. The first generation of hunters, who had mastered mana manipulation, pushed them back. When the war between humanity and the demons finally broke out for Earth's survival, humans emerged victorious and brought the chaos to an end. It has been 10 years since Saiwu defeated the 4 demon lords and was thrown into the dimensional rift. Saiwu stops browsing the internet and reflects on how Pandemonium had already been dismantled long before that. Yet now, of all times, its name is resurfacing. While searching for more information about Pandemonium, Saiwu calls Fry. He discusses with him that demons existed in the other world they were trapped in as well, though their appearances were slightly different. Fry agrees, saying that among the many races he has encountered, demons are the most widespread across dimensions. Saiwu continues, explaining that even in that world, they ruled over and exploited subspecies and even used dragons as their servants. No matter where demons appeared, they behaved like thugs. Hearing that, Fry replies that he cannot say for sure, because before meeting Saiwu in that world, he had lost all his memories. All that remained was a lingering feeling that something had been stolen from him by demons. But after encountering them for 100 years in the other world, Fry can confidently say one thing. They are exactly the type who would commit such acts. Saiwu scratches his head because there is so little information about Pandemonium online, and 10 years ago he had been too focused on fighting them to investigate their true nature. In the other world, he and Fry only encountered their servants, and they had been too busy surviving to learn anything more. All Saiwu truly knows is that the demons' mana patterns differ from humans, and compared to 10 years ago, they have become much better at imitating human behavior. Fry wonders why Saiwu is even concerned when he could simply defeat the demons, but Saiwu responds that it is not that simple. Just then, Sijuan opens the door and sees Saiwu sitting at his desk. Saiwu also notices Sijuan entering. Sijuan asks what trouble he has run into this time, since Saiwu suddenly asked him to rent an office, and he was wondering what was going on. Saiwu replies that nothing major is happening and mentions that he is simply tracking down Minjun's traces. Hearing this, Sijuan bursts out, saying that Byungu told him Saiwu wiped out an entire assassin organization targeting hunters. Sijuan then asks if the office is meant for gathering the people involved, and he emphasizes that whoever Saiwu brings in, it must be kept secret from other guilds and associations. After letting out a long breath, Sijuan sits on the sofa and tells his brother that he has warned him many times that they need to stay low for now because things will get complicated if Choi Dae-soo finds out. Saiwu watches his brother's worried rambling and reassures him not to worry, explaining that Byungu erased all records of Saiwu's involvement. As for Choi Dae-soo, Saiwu was already planning to pay him a visit soon. Sijuan is shocked to hear that. Saiwu continues, explaining that too many things do not add up, and by confronting Choi Dae-soo directly, he can stop him from doing anything reckless. It turns out Sijuan is worried because Saiwu still has not fully recovered his mana. Sijuan says he will not stop him, but warns that he should not rush things, because the world has undergone major changes over the last 10 years, and Saiwoo could end up in danger again. Seeing Sejun worry, Saiwoo stands up, walks over, and pats him on the shoulder, telling him not to worry because he knows what he is doing. Sejun tries to act tough, so Saiwoo teases him, asking if he is pretending they are equals now. Sejun swats his hand away but agrees, on one condition. In exchange for renting Saiwoo the office, Saiwoo will be responsible for training the new recruits in Sejun's guild. Then Sejun asks if Saiwoo remembers Hunter Shin Jisoo, who came out of the gate with him. She has joined Sejun's guild, and it turns out that her awakening skill is more complex and tricky than they expected. Because of that, Sejun thinks it would be good if Saiwoo takes a look at her. Saiwoo rubs his ears, saying he will do it, and then tells Sejun they should eat first because he is starving. Sejun is shocked because Saiwoo just ate dinner, and he asks if Saiwoo is a black hole. Fry suddenly speaks, saying he is hungry too and telling Sejun to feed him because Hunter Saiwoo's weakened mana is not enough, so they should bring some chicken for Fry. After saying that, Fry happily sings while waiting for the fried chicken, and Saiwoo comments that he has a feeling Fry is the real reason everyone is starving. Then Saiwoo calls Byung-gu, who asks if Saiwoo really wants his name left out of this case. That question makes Saiwoo very irritated, and he warns Byung-gu to watch his tone, asking him if he wants to get in trouble for telling Sejun about Saiwoo's actions. Byung-gu replies that this is not the point and asks if Saiwoo even realizes how huge this incident is. The emergence of a Hunter Association syndicate is unprecedented, and now HMCS took them down single-handedly. Every media outlet and agency is going wild with interview requests and offers for cooperation. Not only that, Byung-gu explains that even the branch director has been closely monitoring them since the Gert case, all because Saiwoo left his name off the report. Saiwoo responds that if that is the case, it means Byung-gu is getting good results, but that is not the main concern right now. Byung-gu, on the verge of tears, says there is no way he can explain that he single-handedly handled all those hunters. Hearing that, Saiwoo tells him to coordinate his story with the White Lion Guild because Chu Heyman is in that guild. While attending another phone call, Byung-gu says he has already contacted the White Lion Guild, and although he understands the guild master's desire to protect Saiwoo, considering the recent prison break incident, it would be cleaner if Saiwoo stepped forward. Saiwoo replies that he is eating right now, wishes Byung-gu good luck, and says he will see him tomorrow. Byung-gu keeps talking, but Saiwoo ends the call and walks to the kitchen, sitting on the sofa there. Wearing an apron, Sejun asks if the person on the phone was team leader Byung-gu. Saiwoo tells him that Byung-gu said he loves his job very much, and then Saiwoo asks Sejun for the latest news about the demons, and whether they are still acting the same way they did 10 years ago. Hearing that, Sejun explains that things are not the same anymore. Since the disappearance of the 4 demon lords, the demons proposed a peace treaty. After the treaty, they set up an institution in the polar continent to research the mana that seeped into Earth. Other than that, they have not caused any major issues, and some nations even collaborate with them on research. Sejun adds that seeing demons outside the polar continent is rare now, and they have not appeared on the front lines in years. Even kids these days think demons are just urban legends. Hearing about the peace treaty makes Saiwoo and Fry suspicious of the demons, because they cannot imagine a demon that genuinely values peace. Saiwoo feels the same way, but he also knows there are problematic individuals among humans as well. Demons are not all the same, and being of the same species does not mean everyone thinks alike. Saiwoo then stands from the sofa, thinking about Crow. Her mana pattern was similar to a demon's, yet something about it felt different. So Saiwoo considers the possibility that Crow might be a demon-human hybrid. It has been 20 years since demons first arrived on Earth, so it would not be impossible. Saiwoo then looks at the picture of his disciples, saying that at first he thought this was only about avenging Minjun's grudge. But as he keeps tracing the footsteps Minjun left behind, Saiwoo is starting to feel that this fight will last much longer than he ever expected. The scene then shifts to Saiwoo, who is teaching Sherry, Red, and Chu Heyman how to focus on their dantian. All 3 of them are meditating while Saiwoo walks around them, instructing them to circulate the mana inside their bodies and maintain their focus. They need to keep their minds centered on their dantian. Shu Heyman tries his best, but looks very confused, so he asks his master, Saiwu, why they are doing this, since he still doesn't understand the purpose. Shu Heyman believes that skill awakening happens when adrenaline is high, so he doesn't think sitting and meditating will help improve his abilities at all. He suggests that it would be better to simply move his body and train harder instead. Hearing this, Saiwa taps Sherry on the head, reminding them that they were the ones who begged him to train them, and now that he is doing so, they are complaining. Shu Heyman becomes very nervous, and Saiwu continues, asking if they all think skills are something that appear with no control, where they just exert a bit of effort and become completely drained afterward. Saiwu sighs and comments that these days, nobody cares about mana control. Everyone simply uses skills without proper understanding. Sherry then says that if a single powerful attack is enough, then they shouldn't have to deal with all this complicated training. Saiwu realizes they are thinking back to the tutorial tower and clarifies that awakening their abilities inside an artificial gate must have given them the wrong idea. He explains that the way they burn mana as fuel directly affects the power they can create. Without mastering basic mana circulation, they cannot hope to sense their dantian while using their skills recklessly. Deciding to explain again, Master Saiwu tells his new disciples to listen carefully. When humans first connect with mana, a reservoir forms inside them. This is the dantian. Mana gathers and flows there, creating power that awakens and becomes unique skills for each person. The strength of a skill depends on how well someone controls the mana within their dantian. Saiwa points out his own skill, explaining that with training, their dantian grows, allowing them to store more mana. At higher levels, they can even open additional dantians within their bodies. But since humans in this world have only known mana for about 20 years, the concept is still new, making proper understanding even more important. Shu Heyman tries to follow Saiwa's instruction while wondering what Saiwa means when he talks about the point of view of the humans in this world. Saiwu continues, explaining that meditation-based mana control training is the best method, and he tells them to stay quiet and focus. Ignoring the comment, Saiwu tells them not to worry, because tomorrow he will push their bodies to the brink of exhaustion as well, especially Red and Sherry, reminding them not to assume he is going easy on them. They will train hard until their debt is paid. Both Red and Sherry respond that they understand. Byungu then enters the room, looking for Saiwu with a worried expression, explaining that he has been trying to call him, but Saiwa never answered. Saiwu replies that it's because Byungu calls at all hours like some sort of stalker. Embarrassed, Byungu informs him that he must come to headquarters immediately because the branch chief has summoned him. Saiwu heads to headquarters with Byungu, and on the way, asks why the chief is looking for him and whether Byungu revealed his name. Byungu confirms that he didn't reveal anything, but suspects it may be related to the corrupt prison transport case in Incheon. As they walk, two officers from HMCS Gangnam team stop when they see Byungu. One is the team's senior agent, Ha Junhee, and the other is the team leader, Sung Changwon. Changwon tells Byungu that he heard he pulled off something big while they were gone. And since the North Seoul desk team suddenly became the new hotshots, he taunts Byungu, asking what tricks he used. Annoyed, realizing Changwon is already back from his assignment, and tells him to return to his desk and do his job instead of provoking people. Changwon claims he's simply checking in and says there's no need for Byungu to be so sensitive. He then notices Saiwu behind Byungu and comments on the rumors that this rookie made a mess at the Incheon prison incident. He questions why the North Seoul team keeps picking people like Hunter Saiwu. Saiwa doesn't react, but Byungu steps forward and tells Changwon that's enough, joking that he must still be jet-lagged and talking nonsense. Junhee corrects him, saying their assignment was in Japan, so there shouldn't be any jet lag. Changwon taunts Byungu again, saying he wouldn't know since he's never been abroad at all. Changwon taunts Byungu, saying it must be frustrating that the Gangnam team gets called all over the world while the Bestia team is stuck working overtime and still losing track of low-tier escapees. Then Junhee speaks to Saiwu, calling him a rookie and saying that regardless of the team, they are still his seniors, so it is rude of him not to introduce himself, adding that at the very least, a greeting would be appropriate. Saiwu replies that what greeting are they talking about? Both Junhee and Changwon become visibly angry, Junhee asks his team leader to let him handle educating this crazy rookie, Hunter Saiwoo. Byung-gu also becomes angry and tells Junhee that he must be out of his mind for trying to start a confrontation inside headquarters. He reminds them they need to know the difference between work and play. But Changwon brushes it off and asks who Byung-gu thinks he is to lecture his subordinate, even asking if Byung-gu is deaf, since rookie Saiwoo was the one who spoke rudely first. Byung-gu calls them juniors, mockingly. Changwon gets even angrier, saying they must have lost their minds. He decides to drill it into Saiwoo's head, especially since the headquarters staff are watching. Changwon continues ranting about who runs the HMCS, until someone places a hand on his shoulder, saying that he is the one who runs the place. The person is HMCS Branch Chief Baek Gunho. Changwon and Junhee freeze in shock when they see the chief. Gunho calmly addresses Saiwoo, saying he was wondering why Saiwoo hadn't arrived yet, and assumes he was held up. Gunho then tells Byung-gu that he should have wrapped this up and brought Saiwoo sooner. Byung-gu apologizes, and Gunho happily leads Saiwoo with him, asking whether Saiwoo likes camellia tea because they have an important guest today and he had something special prepared. Saiwoo agrees to the tea, which frustrates Changwon even more. He attempts to speak up, but Gunho turns back with a smile, saying he heard rumors that during Changwon's Japan mission, he requested services outside his official duties. Gunho advises that if Changwon wants to be in charge, he should focus on his work first and stop wasting time on unnecessary matters. Changwon and Junhee immediately go silent. As Saiwoo and the others approach Gunho's office, Changwon quietly wonders what kind of backing this rookie has for even the chief to step in. Junhee replies that he has no idea either. Inside Gunho's office, they share a light conversation. Gunho comments that this is their first time meeting in person because Saiwoo has been quite busy since joining. Saiwoo, getting straight to the point, confirms this and asks why Gunho called him. Gunho smiles, saying he appreciates Saiwoo's directness, and explains that the reason is simple. He wants to ask about the Incheon prison case. Byung-gu, already worried, becomes even more tense as Gunho explains that thanks to the Bestja team, jurisdiction over the investigation has been transferred to them. Along with that, an inquiry into corruption at Incheon prison is progressing. However, that does not mean they can overlook the escaped convict. Gunho asks Saiwoo whether someone strong enough to defeat Red Light would really let a fugitive slip away. He wants to know if Saiwoo is certain he has no information about the escapee's whereabouts. Byung-gu starts sweating nervously, so Gunho tells him to step out for a moment. Byung-gu apologizes to Saiwoo and leaves. Gunho then tells Saiwoo that he is not inflexible, and he acknowledges that Byung-gu is skilled, but taking down an entire assassin syndicate alone is difficult to believe. Gunho says he suspects that the fall of the assassin group and the escapee must be connected, and he knows Saiwoo likely noticed something during the transport as well. Since the case has become a major issue, Gunho says that if the escapee provided information on the group, they might consider some leniency. But they still cannot ignore an awakened individual already listed in the Hunter Investigation Bureau's records, especially when someone new with an unknown background like Saiwoo is involved. Gunho explains that because of that, he contacted an old friend for advice, and it turns out that this friend knows Saiwoo very well. The friend was eager to meet him, so Gunho brought him to headquarters. Saiwoo turns around, confused, asking what Gunho means. Gunho explains that his friend is a living legend from the first generation of hunters and one of Korea's 3 pillars, the guild master of the Warrior Hunter Guild, Do Kyung-hoo. The scene then shifts to Saiwoo and Kyung-hoo sitting together and asks Saiwoo how many years have passed. He also says that even when Gunho told him, he wasn't sure what to believe because he thought Saiwoo was dead. Saiwoo replies that there were some complications and comments that Kyung-hoo looks old now. Fry asks who the elderly man is, noting that he seems very friendly with Saiwoo. So Saiwoo explains that Kyung-hoo is a first-generation hunter and one of the 3 pillars, Sword Demon Kyung-hoo, who once fought alongside Saiwoo. Kyung-hoo laughs and says that he doesn't look old. It's just that Saiwoo hasn't aged at all. He adds that it has been 10 years since Saiwoo went missing, and now he suddenly reappears with a straight face. Kyung-hoo asks where Saiwoo has been all this time, mentioning that Saiwoo's followers had been searching for him as well. After Saiwoo explains everything, night falls, and Kyung-hoo finally understands that Saiwoo spent 100 years in another dimension. While Kyung-hoo isn't easily surprised, he still finds it hard to believe that Saiwoo endured that much time alone. Saiwoo confirms that a dimensional spell was cast on him the moment the Demon King died, so he doesn't know whether it was intentional. But Kyung-hoo interrupts, informing him that the Demon King is still alive. Saiwoo is shocked and slams the table, demanding to know why humans signed a treaty with the demons. He questions whether everyone has lost their minds and how they could trust demons at all. Kyung-hoo tells him to calm down and listen. When he says the Demon King is alive, he means the king's fragments. Back when Saiwoo was still here, the conflict between humans and demons was intense. But after Saiwoo defeated the Demon King, the demons requested a peace treaty, claiming that the war had been the king's will, not the intention of their entire race. Saiwoo dismisses it as nonsense, believing they were simply afraid because he defeated the Demon King. Kyung-hoo agrees, but explains that humans were not in great shape either. After the first gate appeared, the world fell into chaos. They barely managed to close the gate. The awakened hunters were overwhelmed, and the war against the demons drained them even further. In that desperate situation, the demons proposed the peace treaty first. They offered humans a way to close the gates, and in return, they asked for the remains of the Demon King and territory to stay in until they could return to their own dimension. At that time, gates and Manhwa were still new. Everyone believed the best path for humanity was to adapt to this new power, so the nations accepted the offer. The top hunters who represented each country agreed to the treaty, and Choi Dae-soo was the one who represented Korea. The demons kept their promise. They never caused any major problems and never left their territory unless necessary. Some first-generation hunters disliked the treaty, but after Saiwoo disappeared, everyone went their separate ways. Now that the world has stabilized, public attention on demons is very low. Kyung-hoo admits he didn't think much about demons either, but seeing Saiwoo return makes him question everything. Saiwoo asks what kind of doubts he means, so Kyung-hoo explains that Saiwoo, known as the Mad Dog, was incredibly famous, yet all of his records vanished during the past 10 years. Rumor has it that Choi Dae-soo was involved. They erased Saiwoo so thoroughly that second-generation hunters don't even know his name. Even Kyung-hoo couldn't remember Saiwoo's face until today. Kyung-hoo recalls that he and Saiwoo fought together as part of the triad during the war, but Saiwoo was completely forgotten over the last decade, which Kyung-hoo believes cannot be a coincidence. After hearing all of this, Saiwoo asks whether Kyung-hoo thinks the demons and Choi Dae-soo had a secret deal. Kyung-hoo replies that it is possible, because Choi Dae-soo would do anything to surpass Hunter Saiwoo. Fry curses the demons, and Saiwoo wonders if Choi Dae-soo is involved with them solely to eliminate him. However, several questions remain, especially considering Choi Dae-soo's pride. Saiwoo also notes that there is no clear benefit for the demons to target him. Defeating the Demon King alone is not enough reason. Kyung-hoo responds, reminding him that, as he said before, the demons have not taken any hostile action since then and even helped humanity adapt to Manhwa. At the moment, they have no probable cause to accuse the demons of anything. This makes Saiwoo very frustrated, and he tells Kyung-hoo that the war would never have happened if the demons had not viewed themselves as superior to humans. They were pulled into the gate regardless. Kyung-hoo agrees after seeing Saiwoo's expression, but he tells him that Saiwoo's former followers likely know more than he does, so Saiwoo should ask them directly. Saiwoo replies that, as Kyung-hoo mentioned, they are all scattered now. Kyung-hoo laughs and informs Saiwoo that Kang Yeohwa is still in Korea. She was just a child 10 years ago, but now she is an S-rank hunter leading the Changhwa Guild. Kyung-hoo remembers that she followed Saiwoo often, but she currently works for Choi Dae-soo. He adds that 10 years is a long time, so she must have her reasons. Kyung-hoo then says he should have invited Sejun as well, but Saiwoo declines, explaining that Sejun would react strongly if he learned that Saiwoo met with Kyung-hoo, because Sejun is overly protective. While both of them smile and enjoy their conversation, someone secretly takes their picture with a phone and informs their guild master that the photo has been sent, confirming that the person meeting with Kyung-hoo was also present at HMCS. Hearing this, she orders the black-haired man to return immediately. After ending the call, the guild master, who is revealed to be Yeohwa, Hunter Saiwoo's disciple, looks at Saiwoo's photo, realizing that he is still alive. She thinks about the Empire Guild's recent behavior and the incident at the tutorial tower. At first, she was unsure, but now she knows that Saiwu has truly returned. She sits on the floor and cries, overwhelmed with emotions over her master's reappearance. Sijuan has not paid attention to Yoa since she began working for Choi Dae-soo, but according to her, spying on Kyung-hoo was the right decision. Everyone said that Saiwu was dead, yet Yoa never gave up, even though she could not find him anywhere in the world until now. Seeing him in Korea, unchanged from before, confirms to her that only her master Saiwu could appear in such a way. She stands up immediately, knowing she has no time to waste and must see him at once. But the moment she stands, Choi Dae-soo approaches, startling her. He reminds her that he told her to call him uncle when it is just the two of them, and then asks why she is in such a hurry. Yoa begins shaking and tries to lie, but Dae-soo places a hand on her shoulder, saying that it must be nothing, because he has never seen that expression on her face, not even when her mother passed away. Understanding the situation, Dae-soo comments that it must mean Saiwu has returned. Yoa is shocked when she hears this. Dae-soo, seeing Yoa's expression, realizes that Saiwu has returned. That is why Yoa is so eager to run out, like someone who has finally found what they were desperately searching for. Dae-soo roughly pats her head, calling her foolish and naive. He claims that even if he had distanced himself from that bloodline, there is no way he would easily let go of his only niece, his sister's one and only daughter. This angers Yoa, and she knocks Dae-soo's hand away, saying that just because she came to him on her own does not mean he should misunderstand her intentions. From the very beginning, her only goal was to find her master, Saiwu. Dae-soo asks if she really thinks he did not already know that. He reveals that he was fully aware she approached him because she suspected he was involved in Hunter Saiwu's disappearance. Despite knowing she would pretend to follow orders while secretly investigating him, Dae-soo still took her in. He explains that the reason he never acted against her is simple. Even if she had grown into a hunter who fell short of expectations, she still had value. This angers Yoa even more, but Dae-soo continues, saying that in the current world, every hunter is as valuable as a major asset. There is no way he would simply hand over a useful hunter, especially his own family, to Hunter Saiwu. Yoa shouts back, insisting that he has no right to say that after abandoning her when she needed him most. She declares that she has never once considered him family, and that the person who raised her and guided her to where she is now was her master, Saiwu. Dae-soo agrees, adding that Saiwu did all of that without even knowing Yoa was the daughter of a criminal. Yoa freezes at his words as Dae-soo begins walking away, telling her not to be foolish. She, more than anyone, has seen firsthand how strict Saiwu is toward criminals. Dae-soo asks her what she thinks will happen once Saiwu learns everything about her past. He continues walking, saying that no matter how noble she tries to act, her past will not change. Yoa clenches her fists, unable to respond. Meanwhile, at the Empire Guild, Hunter Jisoo and another hunter arrive to meet with Hunter Saiwu. Hunter Jisoo informs Saiwu that she heard from the guild master that he will personally lead today's joint training. She also notices Red and Sherry dressed in a bear costume, and asks Saiwu if they are also participating. Saiwu confirms that they will join the training and tells Hunter Jisoo that they are his juniors, so it will be good for everyone to learn together. He tells them they can think of Red and Sherry as underclassmen. Sherry is wearing the costume to hide his identity, although it is very hot inside. Hunter Jisoo and the other hunter bow. Hunter Jisoo introduces herself, and the other hunter introduces himself as Hunter Kim Byung-guk from the Empire Guild. Byung-guk appears anxious because of Red's overwhelming presence. It is his first time meeting a hunter of such caliber at that age. But surprisingly, Red's expression softens, and he thanks them, saying he looks forward to working with them. He compliments them, noting they seem like capable young hunters who will learn quickly. Hunter Jisoo responds enthusiastically, promising to work hard. Saiwu then whispers to Sherry that even though it is called training, for Sherry and Red it is more like community service. He warns that if they cause trouble, there will be consequences. Sherry becomes nervous, saying he did not make a mana oath for nothing, and that he understands his safety depends on behaving properly. Saiwu whispers back that Sherry should treat this as a chance to make up for his past mistakes and put in sincere effort. Sherry nods, begging Saiwu not to be too intimidating. After that, Saiwu enters the Empire-owned F5 gate and begins walking. Hunter Jisoo says she is very nervous because of the unique nature of her skill. This is her first time entering a gate since the tutorial tower. Saiwu tells her there is no need to be nervous since a gate is simply a portal connecting dimensions. Hunter Byunguk mentions cases where gates closed during raids and people went missing. Rumors claim those people were taken by the gate. Hearing this, Saiwu sighs and says it only means the door closed, nothing more. Red agrees, adding that humans now essentially hold the key to those doors, and the existence of guild-exclusive gates proves it. Gates were once disasters, but over time they became profitable sources of mana stones, monster cores, and other materials. Everything becomes a resource, so there is no benefit in being afraid at the entrance. Saiwu steps inside the gate, followed by the others. Hunter Jisoo begins to feel dizzy and asks if this is the nausea known as gate sickness. Hunter Byunguk then asks why there are not many monsters near the entrance, unlike in the tower. Meanwhile, Saiwu is talking with Sherry, saying that if someone else saw this, they would think they were simply going on a picnic. Saiwu then asks Sherry if this kind of setup is what young people these days enjoy. He mentions hearing that a hunter academy now exists and wonders what they even teach there. Sherry replies that he understands the first generation, like Saiwu, would not relate, but from generation 1.5 onward, once gate strategies became standard, the profession developed a structured curriculum like any other field. Sherry explains that new hunters must complete the tutorial tower as part of their training course. After earning their rank, a guild recruits them based on their level, and only then do they gain real-world experience. Hearing that, Saiwu comments that fighting a few dozen monsters in an F-rank gate is hardly meaningful experience. It sounds like they have produced a generation of hunters who would be overwhelmed by a single major threat. Saiwu then asks the rookies to show him their skills before any monsters appear. They begin preparing, though Hunter Byunguk privately wonders why an outsider like Saiwu is giving orders, even if the guild master instructed them to follow him. After they demonstrate their abilities, Hunter Byunguk glances at Hunter Jisoo, thinking it is ridiculous to be in the same training group as someone who cannot even properly manifest their awakening. After concentrating for a while, Hunter Jisoo finally manages to use her skill, but she is pushed back due to its intensity. Seeing this, Saiwu calls her over. She apologizes, but Saiwu tells her there is no need and hands her a whip. Confused, she examines it. Saiwu explains that it is a tool designed to help with spellcasting. The more symbols and complex patterns engraved into it, the more effective it becomes. Saiwu also explains that he heard from Mijuan about the unique nature of Hunter Jisoo's ability, so he suggests she try using that construct as the core and attempt her spell again. Hunter Jisoo agrees and focuses. While she is concentrating, Hunter Byunguk notices a group of goblins approaching and alerts the others. Saiwu calmly sits down and tells both Hunter Byunguk and Hunter Jisoo to take care of the goblins. Shocked, Hunter Byunguk asks for confirmation, and Saiwu repeats himself, explaining that the trainees are the ones in training, so they should not expect the instructor to handle every confrontation. He tells them to do their best and simply avoid getting overwhelmed. Frustrated, Hunter Byunguk activates his skill and charges in. Red observes that it is a tracking type ability, which can be difficult to control, estimating it to be around B+ rank. Fry comments that Hunter Byunguk's skill does not seem very effective and is mostly flashy without much impact. Red also notes that if Byunguk keeps using it recklessly, he will run out of mana quickly. Meanwhile, Hunter Byunguk struggles against the goblins. Although goblins are usually easy to handle, he thinks it is reckless to make a rookie face an entire group alone. Sweating and overwhelmed, he asks Hunter Jisoo when she will come help. Still concentrating, she replies that she is almost ready. His skill suddenly deactivates as he runs out of mana, and at that moment, a goblin moves in to attack him. Before it reaches him, Hunter Jisoo successfully activates her skill, Beast Tamer, and takes control of the goblin. Beast Tamer is an A+ rank skill that allows the caster to control the movements of a creature for approximately 10 minutes. Its duration, number of controlled targets, and the rank of controllable beings all increase with the caster's mana. Hunter Byanga collapses to the ground, while Hunter Jisoo commands the goblin to step back. Surprised that it worked, she excitedly asks Saiwoo about her skill. Watching from the side, Sherry comments that Hunter Jisoo is using a control-type ability, which is extremely rare. Red agrees, saying that even considering the assistance from the conductor, the skill itself seems high-ranked and shows great potential. Saiwoo tells Hunter Jisoo that he has seen enough for now, but asks what she plans to do with only one controlled monster. Hunter Jisoo realizes what he means as more goblins begin approaching. Nervously, she tries to wake Hunter Byanga while goblins continue moving toward them, leaving her no choice but to panic and call for help. After the training ends, outside the building, Hunter Jisoo thanks Saiwoo for today's session. She looks completely exhausted and expresses her gratitude again, saying that she finally has a sense of how to use her skills. Sherry, piggybacking the fainted Hunter Byanga, comments that her face looks like it has been through hell and asks if she is sure she can walk home. Saiwoo tells Hunter Jisoo that it doesn't matter to him, and, if she cannot manage, she can speak to Sejuan and request a different mentor. Hunter Jisoo smiles, confirming that she genuinely meant what she said and shares her honest reflection. She had been a bit overconfident. She had assumed that merely becoming a hunter and awakening a skill automatically made someone special, and that the higher the rank, the more valuable and exceptional they were. But today, she realized that skills are just tools, a means to an end. They do not define her, and no matter how great a weapon is, it is up to her to know how to wield it. That's why she now understands the importance of training and mastering mana itself. Saiwoo nods, acknowledging that it is good as long as she learns something, and instructs her to keep working hard. He advises her to ask Sherry or the Elder Red for assistance if needed. After that, Saiwoo decides to head back, but he suddenly notices a crowd gathering. Red wonders if they are from another guild. Seeing the crowd, Hunter Jisoo recalls hearing about a negotiation between the Azure Flower Guild and another group over a recently discovered gate in the Middle Eastern desert. Saiwoo mutters that these must be the people being dispatched there. When he realizes they are from the Azure Flower Guild, Saiwoo's expression changes, and he starts walking toward them. Hunter Jisoo calls his name, but he doesn't respond. Meanwhile, within the crowd, everyone is reporting to Yoa about the gate. While she is contemplating this, Saiwoo arrives, greeting her with a comment. Finally, we meet. Yoa, in shock, sees her master. Saiwoo laughs, teasing, "Your master's back, and you won't even greet me?" Yoa remains silent, nervously smiling as she replies, "My master has returned." Saiwoo attempts to have a brief chat, but Yoa apologizes, saying she has urgent business and must leave. She starts walking, with her guild members nervously following her while Saiwoo watches silently. Fry teases Saiwoo, saying he got rejected at the speed of light, and asks if he needs a hug. Red approaches, noticing Yoa's behavior and asking if she is an old disciple of Saiwoo. Saiwoo confirms that she is, but wonders why she was crying. The scene shifts to 10 years ago, showing Yoa as a child, hiding and crying. Saiwoo finds her crouched in a corner, sobbing. When she sees him, she hides her face again, telling him to go away. Instead, Saiwoo sits beside her, asking why she is crying. He tells her that just losing a sparring match is not that upsetting, even though she and Sejuan are about the same age. He pats her head gently, asking why she hides her face while crying when he will inevitably find out anyway. Yoa pushes his hand away, explaining that it is because Sejuan is Saiwoo's real brother, so of course Saiwoo will train him better than her. Meanwhile, she was just a stray child Saiwoo had picked up. She appreciates that he saved her from starving on the streets, but she wishes he wouldn't meddle in things that do not concern him. Saiwoo quietly watches her babble. She knows he is incredibly strong and cares deeply, but she also knows that he is not her real brother. Saiwoo smiles and pats her head again, saying it is his choice, so he doesn't care about that. Yoa grows angrier. Saiwoo tells her that, in this messed up world, at least he can choose his own family. He declares that he will consider her his real little sister, so she should think of him as her big brother. Then he asks if that will make her feel better. Yoa turns her face upon hearing that, and replies that she doesn't need that and never asked him to do it. Saiwoo asks if this is what he gets for being nice. jokingly asking if she wants him to work with her in training tomorrow so she can cry twice as hard. Yoa responds that he already trains her to exhaustion every day. Back then, Yoa acted the way she did partly out of embarrassment, but deep down, she knew what she truly wanted. She never wished to be Saiwa's little sister or his greatest disciple. Standing shoulder to shoulder with him, she wanted to be strong enough to stand beside Saiwu. She aspired to become a comrade who could support the world he dreamed of. Along the way, she discovered feelings she shouldn't have. These feelings were never meant for her. She is the daughter of a notorious criminal, and though she was abandoned, her childhood was built upon her family past as criminals. As frustrating as it is, Daesu was right that Saiwu should never be entangled with someone like her. Even so, she cannot simply sit idly by. If she cannot stand beside him with her head held high, then at the very least, she will fight from behind, to the end, for Saiwu, the master who gave her a new life. Then Yoa enters Sijuan's office. He notices her and formally asks why she has come, even though it is still far from the scheduled meeting time. Yoa asks Sijuan to spare her a moment, emphasizing that it is important. The scene shifts to Daesu and Kyungho talking. Kyungho tells Daesu that it is not that he doesn't trust him. Since the first appearance of the gates, the three revered hunters have led humanity's fight against the demons. Kyungho does not take those comrades lightly. Yet, if Daesu truly made unavoidable deals with the demons for the sake of rebuilding human civilization, Kyungho understands the difficult choices he must face. Daesu interrupts Kyungho, telling him there is no need to dance around the subject. He comments that Kyungho has also met Saiwu. Kyungho stays silent, and Daesu laughs, asking if Saiwu told him that Daesu is suspicious. He taunts that even a mad dog like Saiwu must have been tamed over 10 years, now pausing to assess situations carefully. Daesu continues, saying that Kyungho is no different. Everyone seems to live under some grand illusion around him. He reveals that what he truly seeks is not peace, nor the safety of the nation or humanity. Daesu states that he doesn't care about the three revered hunters. What he desires most is supremacy, a craving for power. Humanity has been granted immense mana, and he intends to see how far it can go and what lies beyond its limits. His goal is to face countless strong opponents, defeat them, and relentlessly pursue even greater power. To Daesu, authority is merely a tool in this pursuit, and any deal struck with the demons was only because their interests temporarily aligned. That is why Daesu stands here today, and why every world leader, without exception, extended their hands to demons under the pretense of hastening their country's recovery and ensuring citizens' welfare. Regardless of hidden motives, humanity has restored civilization to its former state, perhaps even surpassing it, in just 10 years. Daesu points out that back then, Kyungho must have thought negotiating with the demons was the best choice. Yet now, with Saiwu's return, Kyungho is placing all the blame on him. Kyungho, now speechless, asks directly if Daesu struck a deal with the demons concerning Saiwu, if he is involved in Saiwu's disappearance, and in the erasure of his records. Daesu closes his eyes, telling Kyungho not to make him laugh, claiming he has nothing to hide. He adds that if that idiot Saiwu has truly returned, it only means Daesu now has the perfect opportunity to crush him. Daesu even offers a three-way meeting if Kyungho wants one. Suddenly, Saiwu interrupts, saying, "Convenient." Daesu is shocked and looks toward the window. Outside, Saiwu is flying in, declaring that he has a few things he would like to ask Daesu himself. He lands and greets him, saying, "It's been a while."